Chapter 61. Chapter 47. Gwen's Guilt. Gasp. Ava gasped awake, breathing in and out heavily as she tried to regain her senses. She looked around her and noticed that she was in her room at the Jedi Temple. She spent some time trying to regain her senses. Once she did, she had broken down with tears rolling down as she cried and sobbed her eyes and heart out at what she had done. She remembered everything, and that she had killed Amar. Never did she think that they would re-encounter each other under such circumstances, that they would fight each other numerous times. She continued to wallow in her despair for the following days. Various doctors and people had come by to give her food and check up on her once she had awoken from her 2-month coma. Back when CCs had been destroyed by Ava's accidental force scream, only her and another thing was all that had remained from the battle. Admiral Trench had made a retreat with the Cerberus fleet and left the solar system as soon as they detected that the planet was about to explode. The Republic fleet had been able to recover from the Dreadnought's ion cannon and were able to get far enough away from the planet's explosion. Once CCs was reduced to space dust, a Rublic transport/scout ship was set to find out if anything had remained. And there was. The Republic had taken Ava to seek medical attention and had seized control of Subject Zer-0, as the name was written on it. They placed Subject Zer-0 under heavy security within a heavily secured vault of the Temple Spire at the Hall of Knighthood. A/N Temple Spire is Central Tower. At top level is Jedi High Council Chamber for Yoda, Windu and so on. Hall of Knighthood is one level below Jedi High Council Chamber. Hall of Knighthood is where a Padawan becomes a Jedi Knight. Trough tradition of cutting of the Padawan braid by the Grand Master of the Order, Yoda. Ava was in perfect health, but was in a coma for an unknown time, thus she had been sent back to her room and would be monitored there. Thus, the present day came when she was now awake but an aura of sadness loomed around her. Ava remained in perfect harmony with the light and dark side, and so Yoda and Windu had accepted her current state, but that did not mean that they didn't try to help her to try and return to the once cheerful girl she had always been. All the Jedi Masters of the High Council had tried given advice to her to cope with her loss, as they had become aware that she had fallen in love with Adrian Hawke at some point. Ki-Adi-Mundi had given the most heartless piece of advice, simply saying that he had lost his entire village and family but he did not mourn them nor feel any emotion at their parting, and neither should she. Plo Koon and Yoda had given the best responses out of all the council members, and had seen traces of emotion return to Ava which showed that it had helped her somewhat. What they didn't know was that what they had said were similar words to what Adrian had said in their past life on Earth. A week had gone by since Ava had awoken. By this point she had fully come to terms with what she had done, but not only that, but that she can potentially undo it. She can save Adrian and prevent her past self from killing him. She went over all her returned memories by this point and had remembered the one thing that she can use to save him. The world between worlds. She didn't know where Lothal was, so she would need to go to the Jedi archives to get the coordinates to head to the world of Lothal where she remembered the world between worlds was located. This was all she could do and would repeat it in her mind over and over again in an attempt to stay focused and try to alleviate her guilt and despair. She was determined to save him from death. First-person POV. I was sitting at a table and was searching the records of countless coordinates for every world listed by the Republic and the Jedi. I already had the coordinates for Lothal as I just had to type its name and there we go, I already had it. I was currently looking for possible coordinates for other worlds that can be linked to Lothal, Ilum, Mortis and Octu. All these worlds were connected to each other in some way. I remember Adrian was a huge nerd that was obsessed with trying to learn the secret history of the ones in Star Wars. He showed me pictures of certain places of these worlds, and they all had the same markings and images on the ground, exactly like the ones seen on Mortis during the Mortis arc in the TV show. He told me that the ones, or more specifically, the celestial race had dominated the galaxy millions of years ago and enslaved its inhabitants to create grand structures and architecture. One of these was the world between worlds created by the ones. There were many others but only the world between worlds was actually revealed. The Celestials also was responsible with the current formation of the galaxy, stars, and planets. They had used their power and the enslaved races to create practically every solar system's arrangement in the Star Wars galaxy. The Kilix and Rakata was the most notable races to be enslaved by the Celestials. The Kilix was enslaved and created by the Celestials 1 million years ago. The son, daughter and father were the most notable slave masters of the Kilix, which confirms their age to at least be 1 million years old. The Rakata eventually was able to acquire knowledge from the Kilix, after deceiving them, about the dark side of the Force and were able to combine dark side energies with their own technology. With this technology they were able to overthrow their celestial masters and thus began the Rakata Infinite Empire. What happened to the Celestials were unknown as many theories exist, and the Rakata overthrowing the Celestials is not a guaranteed event, but a heavily theorized one since this was in legends known as the Celestial Rakata War. The Celestials vanished, shortly after as a result of their in 30,000 BBY. A/N Kilix species is 100,000 BBY to 1 million BBY. I am not sure which as it shifts from canon to legends back and forth. In 100,000 BBY, the ones were responsible for creating the hyperspace anomaly in the unknown regions due to their fear of what lurks within. Not long after that did they meet a human woman called Abeloth. But Abeloth would eventually become known as the bringer of chaos, the beloved queen of the stars. For some reason I feel strange when I think about her. My memories are still mixed with my life as Gwen, and my current one as Ava. I still don't know what I should call myself. I pushed these thoughts aside to return to what I was currently doing. I wanted to know if there were any other creations of the ones in the galaxy and why the worlds I was looking into were related to one another. If you can't use the world between worlds, then I can always get Lord Momin's helmet and use it to create Vader's castle on Mustafar in order to resurrect Adrian if I had no other option. Hello? Hello? Missy? I was woken up from my slumber by a gentle feminine young voice. I must have fallen asleep during my research. I turned to the youngling girl before me and noticed she had some horns on her hair like a crown. She was a Zabrak. Ava? Ah yes. Sorry, I was asleep. Did you need something, youngling? The girl seemed nervous and fidgeted with her hands. No. It was just because I felt you were sad, Anne. I see. Sigh, I knew this would happen at some point due to my depressing aura around me. The girl was just trying to be nice. Why is she so nervous? Oh, I get it. It's because I'm a Jedi Master and she thought waking me to ask me about my feelings was prying into my personal area. Ava. It's okay. I was just sad because I had lost some dear to me recently and have been having a hard time accepting it. I can never accept it. I lost him in our past life, and now I lost him in this one, and what was worse was I was responsible for it this time around. Miss Master. I don't know if this helps, but Master Kagan said that we shouldn't mourn those that we lose, because we never truly lose them. They will always be with us through the Force. A/N Kagan fell in love with a female Jedi called Tal. She died in his arms, and the two of them had given their vows to one another so that they can be married before she dies. 2 years before Tal's death, they had an illegitimate daughter called Cara Jinn. Kagan had hidden her real name and she is known as Cara Jinn as to hide her parentage from the Jedi Council. Bet you didn't know that, did ya? Ava, yes. I suppose so. It was then that I realized I still hadn't gotten her name, nor given mine. Ava, my name is Ava Kendra. What is yours, youngling? Taya, my name is Taya, Miss Master. I felt a vein expand when I heard that name. Ava, my name isn't Miss Master, it is Ava, or Master Ava. Taya, okay Miss Master. My eye twitched a little as I had a smile plastered on my face. Does this girl seriously call people that? Surely not. She had just Master Kagan a while ago. Sigh. Whatever, I'll accept this for now. Taya. Miss Master? Can I ask something? Ava, go on. Taya, Miss Master, I have been having a hard time in progressing in my training. I tried asking some of the other masters, but they seemed really busy, and I don't know if you're busy too because you look like you were busy. Did I say busy too many times? So that's why she came to talk with me all along? Ava, it's okay. I can help. What are you struggling with? Taya, you'll help me. Yes. Jocasta knew. Shwoosh. Taya immediately covered her mouth and began speaking while muffled. It was a funny sight. I used to do the same thing since I was very noisy in the school library. Adrian didn't care at all. He would always sneak back in through the side door after he gets kicked out of the library. Taya, I was having difficulty in lifting big and heavy objects. Ava. All right. I can help you with that. Come with me and we'll begin immediately. Taya had quickly followed after me with the occasional spring in her step. I can sense she is happy and excited to have me teach her. She really is a sweet young girl. I thought as I watched her train in the courtyard before me. She was completely focused on trying to lift a large rock. I knew she was struggling with it, and that everyone struggles exactly like Luke did when he was training with Yoda on Dagobah. It is a natural problem relating to one's own mentality. I asked her why she tried lifting the large rock first before practicing with the smaller ones. She said that Master Yoda says that size doesn't matter. Yoda had repeated his quote that he had told Luke about size and the Force being limited to one's own mind and imagination. The little green guy must have told many younglings the same quote for many years. And so I had decided to blindfold her, when I thought she had struggled long enough, and I told her to lift the small rock I placed in front of her. She undid her blindfold when I told her to, and she pouted since she had found it difficult to do since it was actually a pencil. I then told her to do the same thing, and this time I had actually placed a feather, as I had told her. I also gave her something that would cover her ears and prevent her from garing what I will do. I then a feather, pen, hollow pad, toy, a rough rock and then a smooth round rock. I had actually swapped some of them out. Fortunately, she had her ears covered so she wouldn't be able to hear me moving and placing the objects to replace the current ones she had seen. Feather, a large 5-meter-sized boulder that was nearby to us. Pen, unchanged. Hollow pad, unchanged. Toy, unchanged. Rough rock, another 5 meters boulder. Smooth rock, and yet again a 5 meters boulder. The result was exactly as I had expected, she had been able to lift each and every single one of them. I told her to release the feather, and I quickly held the first boulder with the force and settled it down gently so she would remain oblivious. I then made her lift the final two together, and I removed her blindfold. She dropped the boulders in absolute shock and her jaw was wide open. It was quite comical that I had actually began forming a smile on my depressed face. But all of a sudden she had ran to me and hugged me as she was cheering loudly at having been able to lift a boulder. The touch was nice and warm. I felt happy inside. Maybe taking Taya as my apprentice would be for the best. For her in being able to teach her the ways of the Force, like right now. And for me, to move past my guilt and despair. I was guiding Taya around the Jedi Temple, showing her some things she didn't know and telling her a few things. But by now, it was the end of the day and I decided that it had been a long day. She insisted on not leaving my side until I was at my room before she would leave to hers. I eventually gave up as she was so annoying. I only relented when she had began pulling my hair. What else was I supposed to do? She's just a kid, I can't just throw her off me. Which had now led to the present, where I was now outside my quarters. Ava, here we are, my room. Now it should be time for you to go to yours. I'll see you tomorrow after your final lessons of the day. Her shoulders sagged as she pouted. Taya, fine. Promise you'll come tomorrow. Ava, okay, I promise. Goodbye, youngling. Taya, night-night, Miss Master. A vein on my head pulsed as my eye twitched slightly at the same nickname she had given me. I turned to enter my room, but I still heard her voice and what she said made me halt dead in my tracks. Taya, you may be a Master Jedi, but I am a Master Boba player. I turned on the spot so fast thought I was sure I had just moved at FTL speed, but I didn't care about that. I just stared directly into her eyes, and my gaze pierced her own as I tried piecing the present situation together. But my shock had prevented me from doing so, and I just stared at her without a single word escaping my lips or my body taking any action. At some point her eyes were suddenly covered by something white. I quickly looked at what it was, and it was a piece of paper with writing that said, "I'm still better at Battlefront 2 than you are," tongue sticking out. My eyes went wide open and I was on the verge of screaming, but my mouth was covered and I was pushed inside. The door had shut as I fell to the floor with something on top of me. It had taken me a few moments to realize what had happened, as I felt something warm in my mouth. I opened my eyes and saw a pair of strong reptilian slitted amethyst eyes that met my own. When he removed his tongue from my mouth he spoke. You know, for someone who stabbed your best friend, you're not that great at giving me adequate compensation for it. It freaking hurt as well. Least you do is give me a proper kiss. My eyes became heavy and watery as I stared at the face of my childhood friend, my best friend, the one I loved, the one that died, the one I always wanted to be with. Ama. Didn't I tell you, my name is Adri Dash? I didn't let him finish speaking as it was my turn. I kissed in return as tears continued to pour down my cheeks. We stayed like this for ages, and I didn't care about anything else in this world. But somebody else did as they watched this sight with such intensity that only a handful of Cerberus personnel would be able to remain standing from the killing intent taught a certain holographic AI was radiating. Kara, that bitch. I was debating on if I should have the last part with Kara or not, but decided to go through with it. If you forgot, Kara felt like this ever since the Mortal vs. Goddess round 1 chapter I do remember. Because Adrian was injured and could have been captured or killed at that time by Ava/Gwen, Kara said she would kill Ava. Just thought I would recommend that Skim readers always question me on these things and I hate repeating myself over like 100 times. Next chapter is tomorrow and it is about how Adrian is alive and about subjects Zero and Cal Nerol, Jason Smoke and Jack Stone and tank character sheets. Check comments for image of subject Zero. Chapter 62. Chapter 48. Stonefire God Awakens Part 1. Long author note but important halfway. Also important first paragraph. The first paragraph, this is an incomplete chapter. I was not able to edit the spelling mistakes, so I don't want a single person to say anything about the mistakes. I will repost this chapter tomorrow along with part 2 fully edited, so I don't want to be annoyed by comments about the spelling as I have made it clear here. Okay, you greedy readers, I finally made the new chapter. Ye happy good, why am I speaking like a weird old lad, I got no fragging clue. Anyway, sorry about the delay, I know I said I would make chapter tomorrow days ago, but my Star Wars FIC info is on my phone and I have been busy to insane degrees. Also take a look at this picture. These are all the notes used for subject Zero alone, let us not even talk about other things that are even more complicated. My other fics are on the computer and all the info is there, all I need to do is type up some info and it will find it for me in my documents. But my Star Wars notes are handwritten and some are lost, so you see my difficulty. Also, the cliffhanger of the last chapter was more than adequate for me to not post for a week or so since I did ignore my other fics to give you non-stop chapters every day for a while, so this much is only fair. Anyway, I am back. Oh, one more thing. I am making a side story called The Nameless Side Story. It happens during the time of the Celestial Rakata War. The MC of the Nameless series is a humanoid slave of the Rakata just after the Celestial Rakata era happened. As I said before, the Celestial Rakata War only happens in the Legends continuity, but I have chosen to make it canon cause it can fit into the story as canon. The MC of the Nameless side story is called Umar Sherbra, and how he met a person called the Nameless One, as the two are slaves of the Rakata. I hope you will enjoy the side story and I can do it right. Except for the uploads for it to be slow like the bonus chapters since it will be in between the main story chapters. Adrian POV. Well, this is definitely not a tense and awkward situation I have found myself in. I was sitting on the floor on my knees as Ava was towering above me as she stood with her arms crossed like some kind of mafia boss. Ava, start explaining yourself now. Damn, that is scary. She spoke as softly as an angel, but her words were like that of a devil about to take your soul. I was still afraid of her. Not Gwen, but the Ava her. I guess I should go back in time to when I died. Oh yes, I did actually die. Flashback to when Ava released a forced scream. Ulthan POV. Ulthan had just appeared on CC's and saw the battle that was occurring while he sensed that Ava's connection with the Force was fluctuating. Ulthan. Shossol, Kral. She remembers him. Finally. Ulthan waved his hand and an approaching 1 Malawian Quacha MG Ray, which Cal was piloting, had been teleported to the Dreadnought along with Jason, Jinx and the Predaking. He became invisible to all who were present and made his way to where Ava stood. All this happened with only a few seconds for him, as he had long since learned how to manipulate time. It was one of the reasons he was unmatched by all except a rare few in the infinite cosmos. He watched as Ava was frozen in time and Adrian's body was disintegrating into dust before the raw destructive power of her forced scream. Once everything was destroyed, he saw that Ava was now unconscious. He ignored Subject Zer-Zero as he made his way to the exact spot Adrian had died. Ulthan, Krimbram Shad Nual Brimmaster Amar. Pathetic, killed by the one you loved. How I wouldn't care if you died. But luckily, I have use for you Amar. Netherworld of the Force. Adrian POV. Did it work? I looked around me, but contrary to what I was expecting, I saw only an endless vortex of swirling energies all around me. Fuck. I died. Screw it. Plan B. I prayed to every god back in my old world that what I would do will work. I had known for a while that other universes of the multiverse were connected to the world between worlds. I know that the Diablo universe is one of them, since well, I had gone to obtain the Black Soul Stone from before Adria could use her daughter as Diablo's vessel. Thus, I prayed that one specific universe was accessible to the world between worlds. I could feel the netherworld of the Force trying to pull my soul towards its depths, but I was not willing to accept death. I needed to know how Ava knew my name, my real name. She said in her. My mind was filled with unfathomable amounts of knowledge from the wishes I had made. I was smart enough to put the pieces together. And only one thing came to mind. Gwen. I remember ROB Jr. had asked me a question about what I would do if I could make a wish for her. I wished that she was the Force itself. And Ava Kendra is an anomaly. But so too is Jack Stone. Jinx was an anomaly as well, but with her race's biology, it was possible for her to actually exist in the canon story of Star Wars and go unnoticed easily since her species are a recluse shape-shifting race. Ava is a celestial. Something like that cannot be ignored nor can it not be mentioned in the story of Star Wars. The thing is, it never was. Creating the possibility that Ava is a reincarnation of Gwen all the more possible. I had the firm belief that Ava was Gwen, but I had to know for sure. The thing is, I didn't want to believe it. How can I? While I would be overjoyed she is alive, but I cannot face her with the guilt I carry. That was why I resisted the pull of the vortex that was trying to drag my soul into the afterlife, which is the cosmic force. But I also felt a pull coming from the other direction, the way I wanted to go in. Shit. I can feel this sensation. I felt it before. Diablo. I made a soul contract with him, and if I died before all the terms were fulfilled, then he would get my soul. Plan B was off course but was still heading in the same direction. Diablo is currently in the world of Sanctuary as of now. He was in another universe. And so that means the world between worlds is accessible from where I am, which is what I was hoping for. I focused my intent and used what little amounts of wisdom the droplet of water from the pool of knowledge had granted me to open a portal to a rather particular world, along with Subject Zer-Zero. I used what small amount of control over the living force I had left to drag Subject Zer-Zero with me. But as I did, I saw a being with 2 feathery wings and a pair of glowing red eyes. He made a series of gestures with his hands, and I felt that I had lost control of my soul body as I collided with Subject Zer-Zero and ended up passing through the portal. 1. Stand ready. It's about to wake up. 2. Marvelous, it has scales far stronger than anything I know of. Not even an ebony tool or dragon scales are its equal. 3. You shouldn't be so close to it, Farengar. It could severely injure you at worse. Farengar, 2. You worry too much, Proventus, see? He is fully restrained with ebony chains I enchanted with magic. Not even a Daedra or dragon can easily break binds like this. This was exactly like how King Olaf captured the dragon Numenex in the First Era. A/N Numenex captured by Olaf in 1E Era, year 420. Yes, this is Skyrim, by the way, tongue sticking out. Proventus, 3. It's not anything we have been able to search in the libraries about. I am just being cautious against potential dangers to Whiterun. I am merely fulfilling my duties as steward, that is all. 1. Commander Caius, have you ensured it is fully restrained? I don't want to put my faith in the court mage for something potentially dangerous to the Jarl. Caius. Yes, House Carl Irileth. A/N Irileth's rank is House Carl. She is one of 4 non-human housecarls in-game. She is technically also a commander rank but has authority equal to a general of Whiterun's forces, only. Just then a dirty blonde-haired man dressed in fine clothes befitting of a lord entered the large room. Beside him was a female with light blonde hair and amber-colored eyes. She was donned in nothing but steel plate armor that was made from steel far stronger than any even the Emperor of Tamriel might possess. This female was the last Dragonborn, the Dovahkian and slayer of Alduin the World Eater / the Bane of Kings / the firstborn of the Edric god of dragons and time, Akatosh. With her entrance, the atmosphere in the room died down a little. Dovahkian, are you sure this is necessary? Balgruuf, I told you before, we have to take precautions against whatever it is. If it is hostile or not, I cannot take that risk for the sake of the people of Whiterun. Not in a time where Ulfric could siege Whiterun at any moment. I have already informed General Tullius of this individual, whatever and whoever it may be. I didn't know how long I was asleep for, but I had woken up a while ago. I remained still and silent the whole time, despite the fact I needed to cough out the blood that was building up in my throat. Seems that my soul was merged with Subject Zer-Zero. At last. I had been waiting for this moment. Plan B was for me to fuse with Subject Zer-Zero, which is an artificial body created from many different DNA strands. But since I had used too many, my soul and body are failing to bind with each other. If I don't rectify this issue soon I will die for good this time. Turns out After wants me dead since the fucking Dovahkian is right there. What the hell am I supposed to do? Not even the ones, Abeloth and Ava combined can beat this monster. The Dovahkian, aka the Dragonborn, can fight on equal grounds with Alduin, an incarnation of the Edric divine Akatosh, the dragon god of time and chief deity of the 9 divines. This monster is at least a universal plus or low multiversal being just for being able to defeat Alduin, who has the power of an Etiada, original spirit. An Etiada is what the Daedric princes and 9 divines, Edric gods, and the Magna Gu who fled with Mundus from the universe during the creation of Nirn, the world, are all Etiada or otherwise known as original spirits. They cannot be killed and they are universally powerful. Let's not even talk about Mirok, Volok the Jailer, the Dovahkian when he fights Mirok, Harkon or the most overpowered bastard of them all, freaking Divathafar. How the hell am I supposed to fight against the Dovahkian that is 10 feet away from me while in my weakened state? Oh yes, I need to fight her if I want to live. Why? 'Cause she has something I need and I don't have the time to ask her. I stealthily used my storage space to summon a single Shiva bot for my new armor and had it enter my body. It began self-replicating itself and soon my armor would be complete. I also equipped my Makluan rings of life and space manipulation, 10th and 1st rings. I activated the life ring to sustain my new body as long as possible. My space ring is on standby and ready to be used at any moment. As I was getting ready, it seems my little trick with the rings was noticed by the Dovahkian, as she reacted by drawing her sword, which I assumed to be sky-forged steel. The Dovahkian swung her shield at me, intending to knock me unconscious, but I used the space ring to teleport from my bindings. Trying to use the Force is useless since if Gwen/Ava really are the same, that means she is the Force. I have midichlorians in my body, but they merely allow me to connect to the Force, which isn't in this universe but is in the Star Wars universe. I used the space ring to simulate Force abilities by releasing a Force push that knocked everyone except the Dovahkian and Ferengar to the ground. Ferengar cast a chain lighting spell at me, but I simply tanked the bolt of lightning as I gritted through the pain and dashed towards him. I swung my fist to strike him and break his legs, but my blow was blocked by the clanging of metal. The Dovahkian blocked my attack. She was going to slash her sword at me, but her body froze in place as she became confused. I used the space ring to freeze the space around her body in place, thereby simulating Force stasis. Dovahkian, Mul QH, Strength, Armor. An aura of mystical energy surrounds her arms and body apart from the head in an astral draconic armor. What the fuck? She knows the dragon aspect. Shout. Thank God she doesn't know the final word. That means she definitely hasn't faced off against Mirok yet. I have a chance since she is not at her full potential. With her enhanced power, thanks to dragon aspect, she had broken free of my artificial Force stasis and closed the distance in a blink of an eye with yet another iconic and familiar Thursday Would Na Kest, Whirlwind, Fury, Tempest. I created a spatial barrier around me and used it to simulate a force-repulse shockwave. It succeeded in repelling her back but did no damage whatsoever due to the protection that dragon aspect provided. I suddenly felt my spider sense warn me of an attack from the rear and I backflipped through the air and saw my attacker while I was still in midair. Irileth had fired an ebony arrow at me. Seriously? How the hell does everyone have ebony? Is this the new trend or what? I saw Balgruuf and Commander Caius had gotten to their feet as well along with a few guards. I decided to see if my trump cards would work or not, and so I raised both my hands and widened my eyes as I felt my power working. Everybody's bodies, including the empowered Dovahkiin, had become my puppets in every sense of the word as I felt the blood in their bodies become subjective to my will thanks to my psychic blood bending. I can feel that the Dovahkiin was breaking free from my control extremely fast, but not enough as I began twisting all their necks except the Dragonborns. Adrian, Dovahkiin. Cease your hostility or they all die. Dovahkiin Midfurshan.
Loyal, Valor, Inspire.
God damn it. She used battle fury to grant a part of her strength to all her allies present, but what began frightening me was the Thursdayums she had begun using next. Hunkalzor. Hero, Champion, Legend, Call of Valor. Su Grah Done. Air, Battle, Grace, Elemental Fury. Deepglow. Time, Sand, Eternity, Slow Time. 3 freaking shouts after another in a row. And her Call of Valor shout didn't just summon one of the 3 Nord heroes, but all 3 of them. Gormlaith Golden Hilt, Felder the Old and Hakon One Eye. But what terrified me the most was a 4th being was summoned. A large almost naked 3 meters tall muscular man wielding a gigantic ancient Nord battleaxe and nothing but an armored loincloth around his waist. Sun. Sun is the ancient god of trials against adversity in the Nordic pantheon. He served as shield thane to Shor and died defending him from foreign gods during the Elnathay Wars of the Dawn era. This guy is the freaking gatekeeper to the Hall of Sovngarde for crying out loud. Fuck this, I'm out. I promptly just teleported myself out of there without delay. Like hell, I am fighting Sun. I don't have a death wish to fight an actual god. I may have been able to fight the Dovahkiin, but not the Dovahkiin and Sun. I'll die 100 times over. 1,000,000,000,000 times over. I pray to the 9 divines that what I want is there. If not, then I have no choice but to go back to the Dovahkiin and beg her to give it to me. I teleported to the Collage of Winterhold Library, and thank Akatosh it is here. I knocked out the classic grumpy orc librarian and grabbed what I was after. The Elder Scroll. Dragon. The Elder Scrolls, Blood and Sun, were not here, but I have no idea what the Dovahkiin did with them. I don't care, I have what I want. I teleported to the throat of the world and saw the legendary green-scaled dragon. Parthernax. Adrian Hawke picture, Subject Zero body in his new armor design. This was a commission art piece created by @NoteLaru. Twitter and TikTok name. Thank you Lyru for doing this pic of Adrian Hawke's appearance from Volume 2 onwards. By the way, reason he looks like a bearded old version of Hawke, Dragon Age game series. Hawke is name of protagonist of the game series except Dragon Age in question, will be explained in part 2 of this chapter. Chapter 63, Chapter 49, Stonefire God Awakens Part 2. /n I don't have time, but I did edit last chapter. This chapter will be edited tomorrow. There will be spelling Maya takes cause it isn't edited yet. I hate skim readers cause they always ignore the author's notes when I make myself quite clear by mentioning UT all the time. Parthernax, Dremyal Lock, Peace, Fire, Sky. Greetings, Wunduniak, Traveler. I am Parthernax. Who are you? What brings you to my Strunma? My mountain. Adrian, Croesus, apologies, Master Parthernax, but I am in dire need of Aidkoff's blood. I came for that, the unmelting snow as it is the only thing that can save my life. I coughed even more of my thick red blood as I felt my body deteriorating from the inside at a rapid pace. Parthernax, Votsa, True. Silneen Yal, Soul, Sting, Fire, your soul burns away Jor, mortal. No shit. Adrian, yes, I am well aware Master. I apologize for my bluntness, but I need the unmetting snow, Master Parthernax. I have very little time left before my soul has Aggies, erase, D. from Akko's existence. Dol. Skik. Avos, harvest, to your heart's content. The snow has been here since the Kel had been used long ago here, before I settled upon my now or sent Strunma. But first, to help you. Parthernax raised his head and faced towards me as he still remained atop the dragon word wall where he iconically stays on. He bent his head forwards towards me and I knew he was using a Thursday. I fully trusted Parthernax as I knew his character from the game and his personality. And even if he was hostile, I do not have the strength left in me to even do battle with him, as he was Alduin's brother, the second born of Akatosh and Alduin's general during the Dragon Wars before he betrayed Alduin. Parthernax, Copran Zii Domiat. Body, spirit/soul, merge. I felt an ungodly amount of power surge from Parthenax's Thursday and into my own body. The pain I had once felt had been severely lessened and I felt life course Thuffy at New York bidey once again. Parthenax. There, now you have life, within you once again to go amative, onward/forward, to find a more permanent solution to your predicament you find yourself in. I bowed my head in respect and gratitude to Parthenax at having prolonged my life for an unknown period of time. I went to the area where the unmelting snow laid, and I collected it within a special vial from my storage space. When I was done I was ready for my departure until Parthenax called out to me, halting me in my tracks. Parthenax, I assume it was you who was the cause for the Dovahkian's Thursday to echo of Ocmian, above and below? I turned to face Parthenax and answer the legendary dragon. Adrian, yes master. Although, it was a misunderstanding as I was detained while unconscious. If I may, could I ask for your wisdom on how I may permanently merge my soul to my body? If only Durnavir was here, I could ask him since he himself had larabed the secret arts of necromancy directly from the ideal masters themselves, but I don't have the time to go to the Soul Cairn nor can I use the Thursday to summon him to Tamriel or better yet, Nirn at all. S/N Tamriel is the continent, Nirn is the planet. Parthenax, Croesus, apologies. I do not have an answer to your question in its entirety, but I believe you already know what you require. Bodier Aak Darin. Lend, guide, reason. When Parthenax unleashed yet another unheard of Thursday a small fire WYRM, that looked like the dragon version of the clairvoyance spell, appeared before me and surrounded me. Parthenax, this will help you on the Bovit Amvit, adventure ahead. Fare thee well, Wounduniac Tide Ul, traveller of time eternal. The last word made me almayast lose my balance. As I understand what he meant by his final words. He knows I am not from this universe. I am not surprised, but I am worried if the Daedric princes know about me, and if Akatish decides to yeet himself to where I'm at, I am fucked. Thankfully, old Herma Mora hasn't tried anything yet. I decided to focus in the task at hand and follow the spectral fire WYRM that Parthenax summoned to help guide me to what I needed. It wasn't all too hard to be honest. I had collected a branch from the Elder Gleam tree. A/N only the Nettlebane dagger can harm the Elder Gleam in any way. I had to acquire Nettlebane from those crappy Hagravens though, which I did, and I used Nettlebane to cut off an Elder Gleam branch. Needless to say that Kine might have been pissed at me cause every animal in the vicinity if wherever you went thereafter somehow knew my location and trued to maul me to death. I thought they can't harm me cause my dragon-like skin was nearly indestructible, and was partially covered in dark and light blue scales in random places. But a bear somehow had clawed me and I was injured. I attributed this to Kine/Kinnereth empowering the animals with enough power to harm and kill me. Too bad cause that will never be enough. After that, I WNET and got some Hist tree sap. There is only one Hist tree in all of Skyrim, and that was the Sleeping Tree. After getting some Sleeping Tree Hist sap, I went to get misleft some heartstones from certain heartstone or veins I still remember from playing Skyrim back in my past life. Next was the Ethereum pieces. Unfortunately it seemed that the Dovahkian had already taken it, so that was a loss. The last two were a little hard to obtain, but I managed it by kidnapping a conjuration master from the Collage of Winterhold. He was none other than Finest Jester, which the player can get the quest to summon a Daedra in order to acquire a sigil stone. Needless to say I had to physically torture him, until his mind was weak enough for my Apple of Eden to work on him. Once I had him as my puppet I had him summon a Daedra from oblivion. I straight up used bloodbending to immobilize the Daedra, then I began breaking every bone in his body, skinning him alive, jeeling him over again, having hundreds of thousands of my Shiva bots devour his body like cockroaches would and various other torture methods. Every time he died, he was sent to oblivion where I would have Finest resummon the same Daedra again and again. Even when he begged me to stop I kept going for at least 15 times. Only then did I say my first words since I began torturing him. Adrian, get me 3 sigil stones 10 liters of necroplasm, fill these 3 containers, each is roughly 3 1/3 liters. And get me 50 cold iron ingots from the Black Forge. Get going now. The Daedra was scared shitless when I yelled, well look at that. I tamed a Daedra, why does everyone think it's so hard? I had to wait a while since the Daedra Final summoned was from Cold Harbor, which was Molag Bal's realm. Getting sigil stones was a little hard, but the high-ranking Daedra should be able to acquire it at some point. And he did. When he was of no further use, I ripped out his heart for the 15th time and kept it for future uses. I undid my Apple of Eden mind control on Finus and teleported him back to the Collage of Winterhold. Once done, I teleported to the distant mountains to the west of Skyrim and Markarth. I prepared myself for what I was going to do next and laid various items in front of me. 1 sigil stone, 5 Daedric hearts, 4 liters of necroplasm, 15 cold iron ingots, 1 branch of the Elder Gleam tree, 8 heartstones.
1. februar Vile ev unmeltim snow.
1/2 liters of Sleeping Tree Hist sap. 5. Empty, Grand Soul Gems. 5. Empty, Black Soul Gems. 1 TSIL. A/N TSIL is a sentient kyber crystal. It is dangerous to use because it is sentient and doesn't like to serve another like UT was an object/slave/weapon. It has a will and mind of its own. The Wilder and TSIL must work together. Why did I place these specific items here? The Elder Scroll needs something of equivalent value in order to activate its power. Felder the Old had used the Elder Scroll to banish Alduin in the currents of time, but he didn't go blind. Most likely Sims's lifespan was used as compensation AMD as the catalyst. The Dovahkian used the Ancestor Moths to read all 3 Elder Scrolls during the Dawnguard DLC and didn't go blind nor experience that backlash effect that the Olair would commonly experience if they tried reading the Elder Scroll randomly. Moth priests go blind when they sue the Elder Scrolls since they never had anything to exchange for the power of foresight the Elder Scroll bestowed, and thus their sight was used as compensation. I didn't add any of that, so I prepared all these items to exchange beforehand. Now then, on to the main event. How does one read an Elder Scroll and use it? There are a few ways to use an Elder Scroll, but I napto use its power like Felder did, thus what he sighed was important in my divining how to use the Kel, Elder Scroll, as he did. Hold, Alduin on the wing. Sister Hawke, grant us your sacred breath to make this contract heard. Begone, World Eater. By words with older bones than your own we break your perch on this age and send you out. You are banished. Alduin, we shout you out from all our endings unto the last. You are banished. Felder the Old had said this as he read the Elder Scroll to banish Alduin the World Eater into the currents of time, hoping it would serve as his prison. I deconstructed this chant and separated what Felder the Old had said and how he had used the Elder Scroll's power. Hold, Alduin on the wing. Command and target. Sister Hawke, grant us your sacred breath to make this contract heard. Calling upon a higher power to allow the activation of the Elder Scroll's power. Begone, World Eater. Objective and command towards the target. By words with older bones than your own, we break your perch on this age and send you out. Referring back to the higher power and detailing the objective/command. You are banished. Solidifying objective as a command. Alduin, we shout you out from all our endings unto the last. Destination or specifics of the objective/command. Banishment into the endless current of time that has no end with infinite multiverse timelines. You are banished. Finalizing once again the objective and command. So in the end, this is how the Elder Scroll was used. Command and target. Calling upon a higher power to allow the activation of the Elder Scroll's power. Objective and command towards the target. Referring back to the higher power and detailing the objective/command. Solidifying objective as a command. Destination or specifics of the objective/command. Finalizing once again the objective and command. In the end, the final result was this. This was the order I would chant to activate the Elder Scroll's power. Calling upon a higher power to allow the activation of the Elder Scroll's power. Target. Objective and command towards the target. Referring back to the higher power and detailing the objective/command. Specifics of the objective/command. Solidifying objective as a command. Finalizing once again the objective and command. I made my final preparations as I took out a blindfold and wrapped it around my eyes. I took the Kel from my storage space and held it from the ends with my hands, as I could tell that the Elder Scroll had opened and the power of the cosmos was radiating from it. And so I wasted no time and began chanting the words to activate the Elder Scroll and to complete subject Zer 0 once and for all. Sister Hawke, grant me your sacred breath to make this contract heard. Unite and merge, Hawk of the Sea. Let this unbound soul be chained to the body of infinite flesh and endless space. By words from ancient times older than offerings before me, I bind the soul of the unbound hawk to the body of binded flesh and blood. I unify the power of soul and body to be whole again as it once was. I am eternal. I am the Stonefire God. Chapter 64. Elder Scrolls Lore. Important chapter. Skyrim fans already knows this, so feel free to skip this long note. This is important to the story. Star Wars fans may think this is irrelevant, but it isn't, trust me. I don't want to spoil anything yet. Also, if you remember, Adrian's wish is for the Skeleton Key. The Skeleton Key is an Daedric artifact of the Nocturnal, Daedric Prince of Darkness and Night, female. In all of fiction, the Skeleton Key of Nocturnal is hands down the most powerful item and artifact that is a non-weapon. That is how underrated this is. The Skeleton Key can open and close, seal, or unseal anything. This includes unlocking a person's full potential, sealing memories, opening portals casually to anywhere including into the heaven and hell or the spirit world and so on. Even sealing one's ability to feel pain while still maintaining their sense of touch. Let's not even talk about the weapons of Skyrim such as Aurael's Bow, Zachri du Dovahkian, Umbra and more. That is how underrated and strong Elder Scrolls lore is. Now then, There are some who don't know what or who are Daedric princes and 9 divines there are, so I listed them here. You can skip if you already know Skyrim lore. Also quick summary of Oblivion and Skyrim events and ESO. By the way, I had met real-life Adrian. Yeah, I was having a dinner with him and his family a few weeks ago cause my dad knows him. And he asked, so I told him about my Star Wars FIC. Only when he said he was in this story did I short-circuit. His name is Adrian H. My MC name for this story is Adrian Hawke. Complete coincidence that we had a laugh about. He is currently reading this FIC, and doesn't know any lore about Skyrim and Star Wars, which had me thinking. Other people may not know as well. So I am doing this for them from now on in summary. One note, Jiggalag is Sheogorath but not anymore by Skyrim's events. Jiggalag was the strongest Daedric prince, the others feared his power so they teamed up against him. Jgalig is the Daedric prince of order and he hates madness. So all the Daedric princes made the ultimate prison for him and transformed him into Sheogorath, and thus he became the Daedric Prince of Madness. Fast forward in time and Elder Scrolls 4. Oblivion events happen. The hero of Kvatch, his real name is Bendu Olo, this is confirmed by Bethesda Studios, set Jiggaleg free during the Grey March. Grey March is an event for 1 day every 1,000 years that Jiggaleg regains Cineral of his body, Sheogorath prison. Hero of Kvatch ended up replacing Jgalig as the second Sheogorath, while Jiggaleg escaped but lost nearly all of his power. The Sheogorath in Skyrim events is Hero of Kvatch, as he even quotes about Martim Septim using the Amulet of Kings to transform into aspect of Akatosh. The Daedric princes, 16 but 17 because of Jiggaleg being free now, making Jiggaleg and Sheogorath separate beings now. Erashura, Daedric prince of fate, dawn and dusk, female. A prince who maintains/draws power from the balance of night and day, light and dark. Abothia, Daedric prince of deceit and betrayal, female. The prince of deceit, secrecy, conspiracy, treason, and unlawful overthrow of authority. A Clavicus Vile, Daedric prince of power and wishes, male both. The prince of deals, pacts, power, bargains, and serenity through wish fulfillment. Barbas is a dog, he is one half Clavicus Vile and Calvicus is the other half, but if them together are Clavicus Vile, confusing I know, they are two sides of the same coin. A Hermias Mora, Daedric prince of knowledge and secrets, male. The formless Daedric prince of knowledge and memory, seeks to possess all that is knowable. He is also known by his mocked name from the Skull people as Old Herma Mora. A Herson, Daedric prince of the hunt, male. The prince of the hunt, sport, the great game, and the chase. He created werewolves. A Jiggalag, Daedric prince of order, male. The prince of logical order and deduction, upholds strict order above all else. A Malakath, Daedric prince of vengeance, male. The prince whose sphere is the patronage of the spurned and ostracized. A Maroons Dagon, Daedric prince of destruction, male. The prince of destruction, violent upheaval, energy, and mortal ambition. A Mephala, Daedric prince of plots, schemes and secretary, female. The prince of unknown plots and obfuscation, a master manipulator, a sower of discord. A Meridia, Daedric prince of infinite energies, female. The prince of the energies of all living things, enemy of the undead and all who disrupt the flow of life. She is the natural enemy of Molag Bal since Molag Bal is her opposite essentially, and he created vampires which conflicts with Meridia. A Molag Bal, Daedric prince of domination, male. The prince of domination and spiritual enslavement, seeks to ensnare souls within his domain. Created vampires, and is known as the king of Rape woman. He Rapes becomes daughters of Coldharbour, which are the strongest and highest rank of all vampires. A Namara, Daedric prince of cannibalism, female. The prince of the ancient darkness, the patron of all things considered repulsive. A Nocturnal, Daedric prince of darkness and night, female. The prince of the night and darkness, the patron of all things secretive. She is insanely powerful, she defeated Molag Bal and Dagon from inhabiting her realm multiple times. All thieves worship her, which amps her have greater power, but she rarely uses it, which is why you may be surprised to know she is S tier among Jiggaleg, Molag Bal, Meridia and Sheogorath. A Periite, prince of pestilence and tasks, male. The Taskmaster, the Daedric prince of pestilence, desires order in his domain. He looks like a green dragon. This guy is the weakest Daedric prince along with Sanguine. A Sanguine, Daedric prince of debauchery and lust, male. The prince of hedonism, debauchery, and the further indulgences of one's darker nature. A Sheogorath, Daedric prince of madness, male. Host inside can be any gender but Sheogorath will remain male. The infamous prince of madness, whose motives are unknowable. He is the strongest Daedric prince tied with his former self Jiggaleg. A Vermina, Daedric prince of dreams and nightmares, female. The prince of dreams and nightmares, a deliverer of evil omens and dark portents. The 9 divines, Edra, Edric gods. Talos was previously mortal. Arakatosh, the dragon god of time and chief god of the pantheon. He has multiple forms. A golden dragon, old hunched man, Orel the farmer, snow elf, God, and some others for a total of 7 or 8 forms. Arche, God of the cycle of life and death, and mortals' burials and funeral rites. Edibella, Goddess of beauty and love. Ahulianos, God of wisdom and logic. Kinnereth, Goddess of air, wind, sky and the elements. She bestowed the mortal race of Nords with the power of the voice/Thursday in order to aid them in defeating the dragons. Parthernax helped to teach the Nords how to use the Thursday and he betrayed his brother Alduin. Kinnerath is also known as Kine, the goddess of nature. Amara, goddess of love and compassion, the mother goddess. Astender, god of compassion, mercy, justice, charity, luck, and righteous rule by might and merciful forbearance. Atelas, hero god of mankind, conqueror god, god of might, honor, state, law, and man. He was once a mortal called Tiber Septim. As a mortal he is known as the Dragonborn of his time, and when he became a god he is known as the Dragonborn god. The Septim bloodline are all Dragonborns, but with the death and sacrifice of Martin Septim, the bloodline seemingly ended and thus ended the imperial bloodline. A Zenithar, god of work and commerce, trader god. Etiada, also called the original spirits, are the forces perceived and revered by the mortals as gods or spirits. To humans, these Etiada are the gods and demons. To the Aldmer, original elves before they branched off to become different variants like wood elves, dark elves. The Edra, Aldmeri translation is our ancestors, and Dedra, Aldmeri translation is not our ancestors. The Edra and Dedra came to be once Lorcan convinced/tricked the original spirits, Etiada, to create Mundus. The Dedra are the Etiada who did not take part in the creation of Mundus to retain their power. The Edra are the Etiada who remained during the creation of Mundus, thus giving away a significant amount of their power. The origins of the Etiada are subject of many, often conflicting, creation myths. But in most cases, there are many similarities. It is also important to take note that history in itself is mostly written on the grounds of pious opinions. Whereas one may define their past as heroic and divine, another may portray a much darker, sinister image. Most myths start with one force, Anu. Out of it, or out of the nothing came another force, Padme/Cities. Some myths start with both and call them twins. Their interplay created the Orbis, universe, and many other spirits, the original spirits. Some sources suggest that the Orbis is the deity that enabled the Etiada to form. The original spirits had no identity and it was hard for them to create one. Then came Akatosh/Oriel, and with him came time. With time, the original spirits began to understand their natures and limitations. One of the original spirits was Shazar/Lorcan. He either tricked or convinced other spirits to help him create a new plane of existence, Mundus. Those spirits lost their youth and strength, and became the Edra. The Etiada are the original spirits that participated in the creation of Mundus due to them being tricked by Lorcan, which are all Edra, and the Dedra that mock those Edra and use passionate and ambitious mortals for their entertainment. Elder Scrolls Online Events. Molag Bal attempted to invade Tamriel and merge it with his realm called Coldharbour but is defeated when the player uses the Amulet of Kings to attain some power of Akatosh to battle Molag Bal. But Meridia saves the player before Molag Bal kills them. The Amulet of Kings is stolen by an Imperial companion and is returned to the Emperor. The Amulet of Kings is made from Akatosh's divine power, blood. It was used in conjunction with the Dragonfires which protect Nirn from Daedric princes from physically setting foot on it. It acts as a protection barrier for the planet. Elder Scrolls 4. Oblivion Events. Maroons Dagon's cultists kills the Emperor and his family. The hero of Kvatch takes the Amulet of Kings from his body and gives it to the bastard child of the now deceased Emperor after saving him. The Dragonfires had been extinguished and Maroons Dagon tries to invade Nirn. Martin Septim is the last Septim royalty. They formulate a plan to prevent Maroons Dagon from setting foot on Nirn but are too late. Martin and the hero of Kvatch realize the Amulet of Kings can save the world and defeat Dagon. Martin sacrifices himself to activate the highest form of power the Amulet of Kings possesses. Martin Septim transforms into an aspect/avatar of the dragon god Akatosh and defeats Maroons Dagon, banishing him back to the realm of oblivion. As a result of all this, the Amulet of Kings is shattered, and the last Septim dies. This resulted in a mysterious event which has now made it impossible for any Daedric prince to physically set foot in person on the mortal plane of Nirn. All the Daedric princes were really pissed at Maroons Dagon because of this. LOL. Hero of Kvatch then traveled to Shivering Isles, name of Sheogoratha's realm, and had freed Jygaleg during the Grey March. The hero of Kvatch becomes the new Sheogorath and Jygaleg escapes his imprisonment. Elder Scrolls 5. Skyrim. Present. Events. Thousands of years before, Alduin, an incarnation of Akatosh and his creation, disobeys the reason he exists. He is meant to destroy the world so that the new world can be born. This cycle is known as the Culpa. Alduin has already destroyed the world multiple times already. Alduin, instead of destroying the world, wishes to rule and conquer it. He led his dragon army along with his general Paarthurnax to conquer the world. The mortals that worship the dragons are known as the dragon cult. Certain members of this cult are given extraordinary power from the dragons and became known as the dragon priests, and they wear special magical enchanted masks. Mirek is the first dragonborn, and he grew arrogant of his abilities. He is also a dragon priest. At some point Kinnereth gave the mortals the power of the Thursday to defeat the dragons. Paarthurnax secretly taught them how to use the Thursday As the Dragon War rebellion raged on, Mirek attempted world conquest of his own. He was defeated by a dragon priest called Volok. Their battle was legendary, which caused the continent of Skyrim to split off. This landmass became known as Solstheim. Hermias Mora saves Mirek from Volok's killing blow, and Mirek becomes his servant. The three Nord heroes fail in slaying fighting against Alduin as he was far too powerful. Felder the Old used the Elder Scroll, a legendary and mystical artifact of unknown origin and creation with unfathomable power, to banish Alduin into the endless stream of time. Paarthurnax had warned them this would not work, but they foolishly believed it did, unknown to them that Alduin was merely sent into the future. The blood of Akatosh flows within them. The blood of time is a part of them, even more so with Alduin. And thus, Alduin would escape one day from the currents of time. 4,000 years later, High King Torrig of Skyrim is killed by Ulfric for having joined the Empire. Events start. The Dovahkiin is caught by Imperial troops by mistake along with Stormcloak troops. Stormcloak is the name of Ulfric's army and faction, along with Ulfric. The Dovahkiin is about to be executed by Alduin had appeared, having finally escaped his imprisonment. There are many theories as to why he was there, but I believe he was there because he had sensed a dragon soul nearby. Unknown, it was the Dovahkiin soul who would defeat him. Dovahkiin slays Mermulna, his first named dragon, and absorbs his soul. The Greybeards summon the Dovahkiin to go to them. The Dovahkiin proceeds with game events and meets the Greybeards and learn the way of mastering her Thursday power from them. Later, the Dovahkiin goes and obtains the Elder Scroll, Dragon, and uses it atop the throat of the world where Paarthurnax is to learn the Thursday shout, Dragonrend, to help in defeating Alduin as the Nord heroes did 4 Thiasabd years ago. The Dovahkiin and Paarthurnax battle and defeat Alduin at the throat of the world with an epic battle of the Thursday which is heard all across the continent of Skyrim. Alduin cannot be killed due to his immortality of being an incarnation of Akatosh, who is an Etiada, original spirit. Alduin escapes and enters the Nord afterlife called Sovngarde through a secret portal at the Temple of Skuldafn, which is guarded by multiple dragons and the dragon priest Nokrian. The Dovahkiin manages to make a peace treaty with the Imperial's army being led by General Tullius and the Stormcloaks being led by Ulfric Stormcloak. The Dovahkiin enacts their plan and captures one of Alduin's lieutenants called Odahvying in Dragon's Reach with the aid of Jarl Balgruuf and Irileth and Whiterun Soilders. Odahvying and the Dovahkiin make a deal, and Odahvying flies the Dovahkiin to the secret portal to the Nord afterlife located at Skuldafn. Those that still don't know, Sovngarde is basically Valhalla, Norse, Viking afterlife/heaven, a heaven for warriors. The Dovahkiin defeats Nokrian and enters the portal and travels to Sovngarde. Dovahkiin meets the 3 Nord heroes and defeat Alduin at the zenith of his power. Alduin is defeated and his death causes the heavens to quake and shudder with the death of the Nordic deity. A/N Alduin is worshipped as one of the deities of the original Nordic pantheon of Atmara. Alduin's soul is not absorbed by Alduin, but Akatosh takes it, and would seemingly one day resurrect Alduin to fulfill his true and original destiny as the World Eater. Sun returns the Dovahkiin back to the world of the living. While at the same time every dragon participates in a funeral of sorts for Alduin. Odahvying swears his loyalty to the Dovahkiin. I will not include DLC's info, but in short, Dawnguard DLC. A royal vampire lord called Harkon tries to fulfill an ancient prophecy to be Baal to permanently block out the sun. Sun is called Mundus. Mundus also called a Etiada and us referred to as creation/world. It's really complicated. Dovahkiin gathers 3 Elder Scrolls, Dragon, Blood, Sun, and finds Auriel's bow. AMD defeats Harkon. Dragonborn DLC. Mirek's cultists truly to kill Dovahkiin. Dovahkiin travels to Solstheim. Its people are being brainwashed and enslaved by Mirek to create magical shrines to allow him the power to escape and return to Nirn. Dovahkiin reads a black book and encounters Mirek in Apocrypha. Black books are a creation of Hermias Mora, and Apocrypha is his realm, which contains endless books of knowledge. The Dovahkiin finds a black book to allow him to try and find Mirek. Hermias Mora tells Dovahkiin that without the bend will shout Mirek created, he will never face him. Herma Mora makes deal to teach Dovahkiin the 3rd word of power of bend will, if in exchange they can give him the secrets of the Skull tribe. Dovahkiin destroys Mirek shrines. Skull tribe leader gives their secret book to Herma Mora. Mora kills the Skull chief and honors his deal. Dovahkiin reads the black book and enters Apocrypha. Dovahkiin faces off against Mirek at the summit of Apocrypha. Mirek attempts to escape his defeat, but Hermias Mora, who was watching the epic battle between the first Dragonborn and the last Dragonborn, intervenes and kills Mirek himself, saying that he now has a new Dragonborn to serve me. The Dovahkiin returns to Nirn. Chapter 65. Chapter 50. Telesteri, Reaper of Souls. A/N no chapter edit today. In a rush. Due tomorrow. Adrian POV, present time. Ava. So. Adrian. Sweating profoundly. Ava. You went to Skyrim. Gulp. Ava. Without me. Adrian. Ava. And used an Elder Scroll before I could. Luckily, I had cast a spell on the room to enchant it to prevent any sound from inside leave this room. Gwen also was a lover of Skyrim. I guess it's because it was the game I loved to play the most, and we actually talked a lot about it. It was the only time she knew she could get me to open up and talk to her, about casual stuff or games. It was the main chance she got to communicate with the already silent and antisocial me at the time, so it wasn't a surprise she loved Skyrim just as much as I did, since we always shared each other's company when we played it. Adrian. To be fair, it was kinda your fault that I dash. I didn't even get a chance to finish as I felt her force push me to across the room and pressed against the wall. Lucky that I also placed a reinforcement, Great One rune across the room just in case this happened. She held me up in the air with a force grip. I could have resisted it with a passive force wall ability all living beings have, but didn't as to not provoke any more wrath from her. S/N I already explained force wall more than once and won't do so again. Ava. And whose fault is it that you almost died? Adrian. You actually. And I didn't almost die. I did die and came back. Ava. Adrian. Ava, or Gwen, seemed to have gone red as a tomato, and she nervously and awkwardly tried to talk and defend herself but looked away and dropped me. I landed on my feet and saw she was shuddering and shaking. She grandbed both her arms with one another and I could hear her silent sobbing with my unnatural hearing. I walked over to her and hugged her from behind. I placed my head on her shoulder and whispered to her. Adrian, we are both idiots. She gripped my hand that was around her waist tightly as she answered back in an equally silent voice. Ava, what happened after you used the Elder Scroll? Adrian, about that. The once sad white-haired girl looked into my eyes with full seriousness when she heard me stutter. Ava, answer, now. Adrian, sweating hey, how the hell did you change gears all of a sudden? Ava, Jedi training, to quickly rein in emotions. Now then, care to tell me why you are nervous in telling me what happened? You didn't go fighting an ET-ADA, did you? Also, you didn't have sex with any girls apart from me. Did you? Calm the fuck down. I smiled at how our once playful arguments where we used to punish each other with small things like a pillow to the face or a paint bucket over the head to punishments with force abilities that tear entire planets and black holes apart. Flashback, shortly after Adrian uses the Elder Scroll, he had done some other minor things such as checking his body and gathering some items throughout Tamriel as quickly as he could. Nocturnal, Daedric Prince of Darkness, Night and Shadows POV. The Evergloam, a realm of oblivion, created and ruled over by Nocturnal, the Daedric Prince of Shadow. It is a realm of perpetual twilight, and the cradle of shadow. The Evergloam consists of a primary plane and several pocket realms, including the Shade Perilous and the Crow's Wood. These realms are thought to be constantly shifting, and are perceived differently by different mortals. It is filled with forests, whose trees cast long shadows over a purple landscape. The land is dotted with crumbling buildings and sunken crypts. At the summit of the Evergloam stands Nocturnal, one of the many Daedric princes of the realms of oblivion. She gazed into the eternal night sky of which the sun had never risen, for only darkness and night exits in her realm, her domain. But she had been feeling strange for a few hours now. She felt as if something with her power exists and yet doesn't at the same time. She ignored such a trivial thing as something of such a small matter would affect her in the slightest. She was an ET-ADA, an original spirit, a goddess. Why would she be concerned about these petty, insignificant things? But it wasn't until now that she could bear it no longer. Just now she felt as if someone had stolen her power, used it for their own purpose. Nocturnal, how dare they?
Arrogant disobedient mortals.
She turned her gaze towards the source of the feeling she had felt, and what she saw had greatly confused her. A man with brown hair to the shoulders, 2 ivory horns sprouting from the head, a blue tail and was clad in a strange metallic armor with traces of gold in between the joints. This mortal was holding her Daedric artifact, the skeleton key. This confused her as she can still feel the skeleton key at the T-Light Sepulchre Sanctum, ever since the Dragonborn and Carlia returned it to her. 2 skeleton keys. This was impossible. Impossible. No mortal can replicate a Daedric artifact that carries traces of their power. She was furious. She would torture this pathetic, insignificant, mortal ant for having dared cross her, Nocturnal, a Daedric prince, a Daedric god. But one problem prevented her from exacting her plan to capture this mortal. She, nor any Daedric prince can no longer set foot on Nirn since Akatosh sealed Oblivion off from the mortal realm after high battle with Maroon's Dagon during the Oblivion Crisis. /N Oblivion Crisis is name of the events of Elder Scrolls 4. Oblivion when Maroon's Dagon attempts his invasion of Tamriel. That fool Dagon. She pondered many ways of how she can walk upon Nirn, while still maintaining enough of her godly powers so that she can capture this mortal. She could send her Daedric minions, but they would be no match for their target. Nocturnal pondered over what she had to do, which didn't take long since she had been planning this for a long time. She outstretched her bare hand, and in the next instant the skeleton key, real one, appeared in her hand. She clenched it and plunged it into herself, sealing away some of her power, so that the 9 divines, Akatosh and most importantly her sister, Azura. /N This is true. Complicated lore reason. Eta are not relatives to one another, but Azura and Nocturnal hold a unique history with one another. Nocturnal stole the skeleton key from Azura, also called Azura, and now it belongs to her. Azura would do at nothing to prevent her from setting foot in the mortal world. But Nocturnal's fury was beyond anything a Daedric prince or Edric god may do to stop her. Besides, if word got out about this, then all the Daedric princes would be on her side, as a mortal stealing power from a god is blasphemy. Just like the trio of false gods. But we dealt with those imposters long ago. I made my preparations and used my skeleton key to open a portal to Tamriel, to Skyrim where the mortal is currently. When she appeared through the portal, he bared his path. Before she could announce herself and her intent, the mortal spoke first. Shit. Adrian POV. Adrian. Shit. Present day Ava. You met Nocturnal? That can't have ended well. Present day Adrian. Oh, just you wait. It gets worse. Now let me get back to my flashback effect thingy. I knew this would happen at some point since I do possess a wish version of the skeleton key, and the real original skeleton key belongs to Nocturnal. God damn it. Of all the Daedric princes, can't it be Herma-Mora, Periite, Sanguine or to hell with it? I want Sheogorath instead of this witch. Nocturnal saw I wasn't moving, and she wasted no time in delaying this momentary standoff any longer. I assume she can't be on Nirn unless she is in a weakened avatar or sealed off a majority of her power. It is the only way I can think of which would allow her to physical set foot on Nirn, since Akatosh's divine protection of Nirn is still active since the Oblivion Crisis. I may have an actual chance to escape the Eta that is currently trying to kill me. All this happened in less than a second as my perception has been boosted to insane levels. Nocturnal had encased her hand in darkness. She made a grabbing motion, but I teleported away from her with my space ring. Thank Lord that I made this ring first. I didn't even realize it, but she appeared before me again and I was sent flying from a simple wave of her hand. This is how strong she is when weakened. Fortunately, her strike didn't hurt me, as she must have assumed I would go down with that strike, but I am more durable than she anticipated. I wasted no time and made my escape. I knew it was useless, since if she found me once, she will find me again. She is most likely tracing the skeleton key's power. I held the skeleton key in my hand and shoved it into my eye as it passed through it like a ghost. I unlocked my ability to see ripples in spacetime. The most notable ripple was the time wound at the throat of the world. But I found the largest one, but it was extremely well hidden. I doubt Akatosh himself would notice this portal, since the portal was indeed a ripple in spacetime, but only I could know it was a portal. Since I can feel the presence of the Force calling to me beyond the portal to the midichlorians in my body. The closer I got to it while evading multiple weapons forged from pure darkness, which Nocturnal was occasionally throwing at my fiend back, I can feel my connection to the Force getting stronger. But as I thought I would make it in 5 teleports, I felt that my arm had been amputated. Shit. I had my Makluan space and life rings on my right hand. My right hand, which I had my Makluan rings on, had fallen to the ground. I wasn't fast enough since I felt a death grip around my throat. Nocturnal. You dare defy me. To sin against a Daedric prince. To steal power from me. Nocturnal's grip around my throat became tighter and I felt my consciousness fading. Before it did, I had one plan left up my sleeve that might work. Adrian, Sheogorath. I know. One thing that is absolutely mad, that not even you would do. Nocturnal tried telling me to basically shit up with my nonsense talk, but I ignored her and continued. Adrian, you wouldn't save me, mortal, from Nocturnal. You wouldn't attack her to help me. With those final words, all strength in my body left me as darkness was enveloping my sight even faster. Ha ha ha, a mortal with guts, that's a new one. Perhaps I should have a look inside you? Maybe they would do nicely for decorating my violin, or was it the harp? My shoes? Who cares? I felt my body fall to the floor. It took only 3 seconds for me to recover from the state I was in. I saw before me a familiar bearded old man in a half-purple and half-orange suit. Adrian. Oh, it's you, Uncle Sheo. How's it been? You had that tea party with the Dragonborn inside of Pelagia's head yet? Sheogorath looked at me as if I truly lost my mind. Sheogorath. Uncle? Did I have a nephew? Brother? Sister? Donkey? Hold on, they don't exist in this fanfic, do they? What do you all say about this reader cunts? What is Kuan? Why did I say this? Why do I have a sudden urge to scream, cheese for every Oni? Adrian, who knows? So Uncle Shio, do you want to kill Nocturnal? The said female Daedric prince was nowhere to be found. I think she had pulled back for a few moments so she can unlock her full power. After all, only an ET-ADA can fight another ET-ADA. Unless you're freaking Divath FYR. That guy is cheat engine pumped to the maximum and beyond. Shiagarath, I think you have a few screws loose, you can't kill another god permanently. Adrian, you didn't answer my question, uncle? Shiagarath, okay. This guy is truly mad. Great for me, I suppose. Adrian, all you need to do is touch this on her body and she is done for. I said as I took out the pre-sim replica. The pre-sim replica was originally to be used on Ava, but since I now think she most likely is Gwen, then why would I use this on her? The original pre-sim I had will be used solely for Abeloth. As for the beings KN the unknown regions, I'll deal with them in due course. Shiagarath. Seriously? I just bonk her on the head and she goes to horny jail. Where the heck does this guy know some of these words? Adrian. Yep. Shiagarath. Roger. This guy. Did he mind read me or something? Shiagarath had vanished from his spot, and after waiting a few dozen moments, he reappeared with half his face and an arm missing, but were quickly growing back. As for my own arm, I had cut the stump of my body and it healed in less than 3 seconds. I can now regenerate from anything that is not magical or instant/absolute death in 3 seconds flat. A/N I explain later for his auxiliary chapter of Subject Zer 0. Just finalizing some stuff. I went over to my severed arm on the ground and took the rings off it and placed them back on myself. I stored my severed arm inside of my storage space to harvest later. Why? Remember all the items I had used for the Elder Scroll ritual? Yep, they all became a part of my body while some of it was used as an offering to activate the Elder Scroll's power. My bones were now reinforced with cold iron, on top of my Subject Zer 0 skeleton before. My blood also gained the properties of the necroplasm which comes directly from Molag Bal's realm of Oblivion, Cold Harbor. All those items were used to strengthen and merge with me. Shiagarath, are you sure she is really dead? I don't feel she is dead. Adrian, pretty sure. If not, she will be soon. Also, I have a question. How are on Nirn? Shouldn't Akatosh's barrier around Nirn be preventing you FRKM setting foot here? Shiagarath, I got bored so I used my trust Wabajak on Mislef. I actually have a mortal body right now, so if I am killed it will take a few hundred years to come back. But I still have my power though, so that's neat. Adrian. Indeed. Well then, see you later, uncle. I probably won't see you until I am capable of destroying the Orbis. A/N Orbis equals universe. Shiagarath. Haha. I love this mortal. But with that body he should be a god. Why didn't Crowlover sense it? Oh well, time to go back to Haskell again. Or not. Both Adrian and Shiagarath left the site they were at. While Adrian was both easily ABD quickly ripping of the head of an elder dragon so he can steal its dragon soul before returning to the Star Wars universe. Nocturnal found herself deep within an endless void. Nocturnal POV. Nocturnal. Shiagarath. What have you done? Where am I? I could not feel my connection to my realm, the Evergloam, ever since I first came to this place. Whatever this place was, I couldn't feel anything from my realm of oblivion, nor the presence of any being in the Orbist. You will do nicely. A voice that radiated with sorrow and grief echoed throughout the void I was in. I tried to find its source and was about to demand it reveals itself, but it spoke before it could. You want to know where you are, don't you? Very well. You are in my domain, the Abyss. Originally you would have died when the prism replica touched you, but I transported you here before that could happen. Nocturnal. Why? Who are you? I did not believe its words. Nothing can kill at Etiada permanently. We are immortal, we are gods. You do not believe my words, do you? No matter. I saved your life to bring you here. So I can kill you myself. When he said his last words, I felt a chill across my entire body. This being is powerful. Could it be an Etiada, or is Lorcan behind this? A humanoid figure materialized a dozen meters away from me, and when he stepped into the darkness of the void we were in, the surroundings had shifted and changed. What once was endless darkness had now transformed into a sea of endless stars and energies. A/N environmental image. As for who I am, a humanoid figure that emanated a purple glow had now been made visible for me to see. It had 2 wings that seemed like a butterfly's wing structure, but had feathers like a bird, like a crow and raven, and bore a spear as its weapon made from black-colored metals. Who am I? I am known as the Reaper of Souls, but in truth, I am but a mere servant to my Lord and Master who has given me the task of extinguishing your life and delivering your soul to him. I readied myself for battle at the danger this being possessed and of the obvious threat he had announced. Nocturnal, who is your master? Ulthan, the Unbound God. Chapter 66. Chapter 51. Truth Revealed. /N I didn't want to describe environment, actions, inner thoughts and such about these two characters. That is why this chapter is very bland, it is only direct conversation between these two. Have you finished Telesteri? Telesteri, what are you doing here, Serail? Didn't you have a task to accomplish on Master's orders? Serail, already done. The others hadn't finished yet, so I went to find you. Telesteri, no. Serail, come on, you are the only one Master tells all about his plans. Why were you here? And to use the Abyss domain? Could an opponent be that powerful for you to have drawn forth power directly from Ulthan? Telesteri, do not address our Lord directly by name. Serail, fine. It was just confusing for me. You are the weakest amongst us, and yet Master treats you like you are stronger than all we combined. Telesteri, because I am. In the Abyss, my magic is absolute, so long as it is supplied by Master, I will not lose. And now Nocturnal Soul is in my hands as a result. Serail, so this soul is what Master wants? Telesteri, not this one in particular, just what it was. The power from it is what our Lord desires. Serail, how did he know about this being even though he's never been to this universe? Telesteri, he needs only enter a new universe or reality committed to the world between worlds, and he will almost immediately learn the knowledge of wherever he travels to by harvesting and probing it from the minds of nearby living beings. There is a reason he is our Lord and Master. He knows all, he is all, and he is everything. Serail, there you go with your fanaticism again. Let's head back, the others should be done with their assignments soon enough. Telesteri, you go on back. I must stay and complete my task. Serail, and what is that? Telesteri, to watch over and protect Hawke from anomalous threats. Serail, the mortal master reincarnated? Telesteri, yes. But Hawke is unaware it was our master. Our master implanted false memories into his mind so that he and his lover would believe they were reincarnated by a god they would blindly trust. Serail, I still don't see why he is so special to garner so much of our Lord's attention. Telesteri, Master would have told you and the others soon enough. I'll tell you then. Chapter 67. Must read 2 questions answered. I'll just answer these 2 things since I feel it is necessary since some are confused. One is why was Metal Gear Sahelanthropus so weak in the fight versus Ava? Reason being is she can use Mechadaru, and would render MGS completely obsolete near instantaneously. That was why Adrian had redesigned MGS to be a steampunk water and steam-powered Metal Gear, which is an impressive feat in itself. That allows him to be able to use his waterbending to control MGS and no one else can, unless for the Force Gods, but he isn't fighting them. He made this specifically to fight against Ava on CCs should she somehow reach Subject Zer-0. Second question is about the last chapter. I will only clarify what was already said, not what is in the future. Ulthan, for some unknown reason, used the world between worlds to reach Earth of an alternate universe/reality, and there he had Gwen and Adrien reincarnate into Star Wars. Ulthan manipulated their memories to make them think ROBJR had actually reincarnated them, so his true identity is left hidden behind the scenes. Ulthan knew Adrian's memories and froze time, then he went to the world between Whittles again and entered The Witcher, Warframe, Destiny, Marvel, DC, Yautja/Predator, Anthem, Borderlands, Assassin's Creed, Halo and Mass Effect universes so that he can gain enough knowledge to facilitate the wish of Adrian Hawke. He returned to Adrian and undid he time stop, he told Adrian, in the form of ROB Jr., that he will nerf his wishes. Since Ulthan didn't want to grant him omniscient knowledge if those universes he said he would depower the wishes and make them weaker. For example, Ulthan didn't want to give Adrian the knowledge of how to make Infinity Stones from Marvel or Nth Metal and Amazonian Metal from DC because he did not want to. But Ulthan for know how to make those metals and how to make Infinity Stones, but that doesn't mean he actually made them since he lacks the ability to do so. If you all know how Infinity Stones were made you would understand what I meant by this. The other wishes of Adrian were granted and Ulthan basically did the same thing. Adrian's creation ability isn't actually creating things, Ulthan is the one doing it. He either travels to another universe to obtain what Adrian wanted if it isn't too strong beyond a certain degree, and will give it to him and make it seem like Adrian summoned it with his creation ability. Ulthan eventually stopped doing this by implanting the idea of a creation ability, mana pool, in his mind so he knows he will lose his creation ability soon as the price for the nerf to his wish. Giving the 7499 midichlorian count was easy as Ulthan just created a body with that much midichlorians. The personal and loyal AI with phase shift, Kara. Ulthan had gone to Borderlands universe during the time when the Iridian race asked Nereid and her fellow Siren sisters for help in trapping the destroyer within the Great Vault, Pandora. Ulthan learned what he wanted from the Iridians and every phase shift Siren thereafter until Tanis, Ulthan kidnaps Tanis and transforms her into a cybernetic android, but with the fleshy left arm and siren markings still attached. Then he fussed the two and took the power of phase shift and placed it into a AI he created to be of great quality like Jarvis, Friday, Red Queen, Skynet and so on. He then was able to place it into Adrian's soul with magic and a magic version of Mechadaru and magic version of Jedi mind trick on his mind and soul. That is how Kara is permanently a part of him despite him not having cybernetics in his body. Anything that he has will return to him if lost, no matter what. Telesteri is actually the one responsible for this. If Adshan loses something, Telesteri can secretly acquire it and place it in a spot Adrian will come across, then Telesteri will disappear as to remain undetected. Strong regeneration factor. Easy, Jut altered some biology when making body for Adrian. Psychic bloodbending, he went to Avatar universe and time travel to kidnap Hama, Amon, Noatak, Tarlok in the boat before he committed suicide to kill himself and Amon, and Yak 1, sealed bending version, before he died of old age at the Southern Water Tribe. Water bending. Ulthan went to capture on the Avatar's reincarnations and torture them with his power so he can divine and kern how to ISE energy bending. He then used it on Adrian's body at the age of 5 and erased his memory of Ulthan meeting Adrian on Mandalore at the time. Storage space ability. Easy. Infinite bullets. Went to Devil May Cry universe and went to gunsmith Nell Goldstein, who made Dante's iconic guns, Ebony and Ivory. The guns created unlimited ammunition by using Dante's demonic energy. Ulthan hanged it slightly and that's why Adrian has unlimited ammunition. Enhanced ammunition and weaponry. Similar thing to above paragraph. Culmancy and legimancy. Ulthan couldn't directly grant this since Adrian was too weak as a child when he was born and could die from the power needed to transfer it. Also he didn't want him to learn about Ulthan in any way, so Ulthan changed it to enhanced memory, thought processing speed, photographic memory and stuff like that. Horadric Cube, upgraded. Easy, WNET to Diablo Universe. Skeleton Key. Ulthan in future chapters had absorbed Nocturnal Soul and gained the power of an ET Ada, original spirit. This isn't a spoiler since Telesteri already said it in last chapter. Ulthan's created a weaker version of the original Skeleton Key and placed it in Hawke's inventory space. Spider-Man power and abilities. Enhanced strength, speed, agility, reflexes, stamina, durability, endurance, healing, spider sense. Easy as pie, he didn't even need FO acquire the radioactive spider. He just straight up gave the enhancements to his Bodu and made Peter Parker's double blank gene from Adrian's memories of the movie where Peter looks over Ho's father's notes on the double blank gene. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 movies. As for how Ulthan made Gwen into the incarnation of the Force itself, that is a spoiler I will not disclose. Now you all know why I kept getting annoyed when people would skim read saying his wishes are too strong. Bruh. I had Syed UT was nerfed like 1,000 times already. Can't you take a hint? Most of those skim readers drop this FIC at either chapter 1 or 11-ish when Abeloth tries to kill him for first time. You guys understand now? If I write something or made MC this powerful, then that means it is for a reason. Also, have all of you forgotten the weak to strong tag in the Synopsis? It's there for a reason. He isn't weak yet. Well, he technically is and isn't, but he will be weak to what he will face and will get stronger. When Psi happens, Amni Star Wars fans will be happy I am including it since you Amy have not thought it was possible, but it is. You will certainly know what it is when it happens. It is a really bug event. I'm making it happen either halfway during Clone Wars or 2/3 of the Clone Wars or at the end of the Clone Wars, but definitely before the Yuuzhan Vong, how the F# and you spell this from memory without looking on Google all the time. Invasion happens. I think it is like 2 chapters left and episode 1 begins. I was gonna make it like 5 or 6 K-ators until then so I can do something special with Jason Smoke and a little Cal and Jinx moment, but I'll do it later in the timeline. I hope this covers many things. Also, images will be posted for all characters on Sunday. I will try and solely focus on posting the OC character bio chapters on Sunday as well since only Sarah Stone is there and not the others like I had said. If you have any questions feel free to ask as I look over nearly all comments and try to respond ASAP. My Discord is Chapter 68, Chapter 52, Reunited Adrian. Now that wasn't so hard, was it? All you needed to do was let me kill you without any fuss. But no, you had to try and bite me apart. Freaking dragon. I stored the soul of the dragon I had just killed into a special soul gem I created. I decided to make my way back to the portal. I stopped dead in my tracks as I felt a shiver creep down my spine. I ran to the source of the aura I felt and I wasted no time as I teleported my ass back to the portal muttering an infinity number of nope. Aegean and again. Behind me was a large dragon whose body was made from glowing gold farms. Akatosh, the dragon god of time. Like hell I am staying to find out if he is friendly or not. I was inches away from the portal, but when I jumped through it, I felt a sting on my back as an unknown type of energy coursed throughout my body. The next thing I knew, I found Miss Leff on the medical bed of the Icarus Medical Laboratory. Jinx. About time you woke up. Adrian. Really? I died and came back from the dead, and that's all you have to say. Jinx. What do you want me to say? Adrien. Oh, Adrien my lord, you are Og. Jinx. Say another word and I'll throw something bigger. I rubbed my forehead at a large cylinder canister she telekinetically threw at me. It didn't hurt much, but it was a strong canister and I was still adjusting to this body. Adrien, so, want to fill me in on what happened while I was MIA? Flashback end. Time skipped to the present day. 2 months since Adrian's return. Ava. Wait. Akatosh hit you in the back. What happened? Gwen, or Ava? I need to talk to her about this. Whatever, she leapt on me and started examining my body all over from head to toe. Adrien, calm down. I checked what happened. It seems he tried hitting me with some kind of time-related ability to erase me from time or decay my body from age. But this new body of mine has an immortal lifespan, so all it does is age me in appearance. My hair turned from brown to white. Can't say I dislike the color, but I wanted to keep my brown hair for at least 30 years more. Sigh. Ava. And the tail? Adrien. Your fault. Ava. How is it my fault? Adrien, if you didn't come after Subject Zer0 while it was still incomplete, then I wouldn't have this problem. I mean, look at it. It feels so weird. It's like I can move the tailbone of the spine. Ava, I kinda like it. Adrien, why? So this thing can get shoved right up your viarg. Ava, say another word and I'll throw something bigger. Deja vu. Adrien, you and Jinx would get along wonderfully. Ava, and who is this Jinx girl's relationship to you? Adrien, calm the fuck down. You're the definition of a Yandere and a Tsundere combined. Ava. Nope. I am just dealing some punishment to someone who left me alone for more than 90 years. I and Ava were lying down on her bed. She had finally managed to calm down. After trying to attack me a few times, we had a pillow fight and then she broke down crying in a river of tears at everything that has happened. This repeated itself until she was able to fully vent out everything she had been through since my death in our last life on Earth. I asked her which name to call her by, and she said she wasn't too sure herself as she was experiencing an identity crisis between her Ava and Gwen identities. She said to call her Ava since it is a new life for her and a fresh start, just like how I changed my name from Amar Singh to Adrian Hawke. Ava. What now? I turned my head to face her, as she lay in my arms and rested her head on my shoulder. I kissed her on the head as I answered back. Adrien, 2 months ago, the Trade Federation leaders and Newt Gunray were supposed to meet on Eriadu to have negotiations with the Republic and Chancellor Valorum so they can acquire more power and battle droids to defend themselves. Ava. Huh? I don't think I know this. Adrien, it happens just before the Naboo blockade. Basically Sidious wants the Trade Federation to attain more power. He hires terrorists to steal a ton of credits from a Trade Federation transport vessel. The Trade Federation makes a plea to the Senate so they can gain more power to protect their transport vessels. Palpatine convinces Valorum and the Federation to the meeting on Eriadu, where the governor of Eriadu, Tarkin, is in charge. Before the meeting, King Ars Varuna of Naboo tries to assassinate Plague Eyes. Palpatine kills Varuna in secret and votes for the political prodigy Padme to become the next monarchy of Naboo. It was around this time that I challenged the Republic to war and you and me fought on Ceces. The meeting of the Federation was meant to happen 2 months ago, but was postponed until you awoke for some reason. It wasn't in the database, so you need to find out later from Yoda and Windu. In the future at the meeting, Gunray will coincidentally leave the room, and then an assassination attempt takes place from the terrorists Sidious hired. All the Trade Federation leadership is killed, but Gunray survives, making him the leader of the Federation by default. The Jedi are scorned for their failure at defending the meeting, and Gunray will add a clause to the Trade Federation deal which will prevent the Jedi from getting involved in Trade Federation deals without the Senate's approval first. The stolen money was invested into Valorum shipping and transport, and Palpatine secretly tips the officers of this. Valorum will be held on trial for conspiracy with the Trade Federation, which will help Palpatine call for a vote of no confidence in the future so he can replace Valorum. That's basically what happens and will happen in the next few months. The Eriadu meeting is supposed to happen 1 week after you are fully ready to leave this den of yours you have been held up in for the last couple dozen days. A few months later Naboo will be blockaded and everything will fall into place. In response, Ava just snuggled deeper into me and buried her face in my chest. Ava, can't we go somewhere for a while? Just the two of us. Adrien, after the Eriadu meeting, we can. Everything else doesn't need my attention. Then I have a surprise for you. Ava, okay. Hey, where are you going? I had moved her aside and stood up from the bed as I was placing my gear back onto my body. Adrien, we have been in this room for 3 days straight. Neither of us have eaten anything and it has been long enough. I'll visit you every night. Ava jumped up and grabbed me by the waist from the back. Ava, since when did you become the responsible one? Adrien, since when did you become irresponsible? Do a good job and you will get a reward. Huff. Pout. Ava pouted and huffed in annoyance, but I saw her smile as I walked over the door. Ava, wait. They'll see you. Huh? Adrien, Taya voice. What are you talking about, Miss Master? Who will see me? Ava stood frozen in palsy as I can feel her anger and irritation rising of the nickname I gave her. My body began changing and shape-shifted into the appearance of Taya, the female Zobric youngling appearance I had used to infiltrate the Jedi Temple. My armor changed to my youngling robes and I ran away from Ava's room as I stuck my tongue out at her. She is gonna be pissed tonight. Ava and Adrien, oh, how I missed this. End of prologue. Next chapter 53. Beginning of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and The Clone Wars. And there we go. Finally done with prologue. I'm gonna do time skip past Ariado meeting, but I can easily do it in 1 hour as a bonus chapter if you want it. Chapter 53 will be Anakin's POV of a flashback of when he first met Padme. Remember that Jack Stone is watching over Anakin while he is on Naboo cause Adrian wants him to be friends with Padme and hopefully fall in love with her and actually have a happy life with Padme unlike the original. Cough cough Vader cough cough. Damn, I am coughing a lot, aren't I? Anyway, episode 1 will be short, like few chapters then some small scenes with Cal, Jinx, Jack, Jason which will be only 2 or 3 chapters then time skip straight to Clone Wars where the real stuff begins. See ya next time. One quick thing. Who do you want as Ahsoka's love interest? There were 4 in know of. Vote from choices below. 1. Her husband in Legends a Zobric Jedi. She had like 3 children I think. 2. Lux Bonteri. 3. Saw Gerrera. 4. But there is one which isn't her love interest but if you all want. Captain Rex. 5. Other. You name and choose any that are not from this list. Chapter 69. Last note. Sorry for making all these notes from time to time. But I really don't want to include it mid-chapter and ruin the chapter's feel. This note is for future chapters. I will be including the also special quotes and Star Wars narrator moments. Most will be different and adjusted to the story. Just a little something so you don't skip them cause they will be different. Anyway, I found the transcript for episode 1, thank God I don't have to copy it. But most of the Clone Wars episodes don't have a transcript which has been a concern to me ever since I started this FIC and have been trying to find them ever since. If anyone can find the Clone Wars transcript I would greatly appreciate it as it will help me to fully include everything into this FIC. I'm also going to announce my next big project is now confirmed to happen after my Soulsborne system fanfic is either halfway or 100% done, and when my Dovahkian, Skeleton Knight in Another World fanfic is finished. My next big project is Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, takes place roughly 20 tiers before game's events when Alduin returns to Nirn and attacks Helgen. The MC is a snow elf, farmer, who must survive and keep his identity hidden while in Cyrodiil the Imperial City. MC is also a reincarnation from Earth but has no wishes or none of that. He was simply transmigrated into the body of a 6 or 8 year old farmer. Not the twisted and deformed monstrous farmer that were betrayed by the Dweema, but a pure-looking one like Werther and his brother in the Dawnguard DLC. MC is half Nord and half farmer, so yes he can use the Thursday No he is not Dovahkian, but I haven't decided yet I might do it. If you have read the fanfic Dragonborn Saga, amazing by the way, then that will give you an idea of what I will be doing. The fanfic may be called Return of the Farmer, Return of the Snow Prince or something like that. Anyway, I will try get new chapter out tonight. CYA. Chapter 70. Episode 1. The Phantom Menace. Intro. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a war between 2 races, the Celestials and the Rakata. From the ashes of this war, the Rakata rose as the victors. While only 5 Celestials remained, what happened to the others is left unknown. The 5 that did survive were the father, the son, the daughter, Ulthan and the voice of the unknown regions. Nearly 2 decades ago, Ulthan reincarnated both Gwendolyn Capillis and Amar Singh. The 2 are now known as Ava Kendra and Adrian Hawke. For reasons unknown, Ulthan continues to watch the actions of Adrian Hawke, but his patience runs thin as he descends deeper into the chasm of madness, as he persists in his quest to free the voice of the unknown regions from whatever realm or prison it resides within. After 2 decades of separation since their rebirth, the 2 lovers were finally reunited. Telesteri watches over Hawke, as he was ordered, but the longer he witnesses the relationship and deep connection that Adrian and Gwen hold for one another, his heart aches with the regrets, guilt and failures of his past. Abeloth's new puppet, Pre-Vizsla, has been secretly carrying out his new master's commands on the world of the Mandalorians, Mandalore. Pre-Vizsla, at the enslaved command of his new master, has been hiding from the eyes of Kara by evading all forms of technology that could track him and the members of Death Watch, leaving Adrian Hawke in the dark about Abeloth's plans. In the present day, turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict. And so begins a series of events that would one day lead to the greatest war to have ever engulfed the galaxy since the formation of the universe. And at the center of it all, Adrien and Ulthan would one day stand face to face with one another, and the Hawk of the Sea will be left with a choice to make. A choice that was taken from Ulthan long ago, and ever since then he has been seeking vengeance. Star Wars, Rise of Mandalore. Book 1, The Voice of the Unknown Regions. Passage 1, Ripples Chapter 71, Chapter 52, Anakin on Naboo Part 1. Anakin POV. Months before the Battle of Cc's, the young child but teenage-looking Anakin Skywalker can be seen standing before a tall man with brown hair. The man was, of course, Adrian Hawke, his adoptive father. Adrian, remember, you better behave yourself and follow exactly what I told you or I will be disappointed in you. Anakin, yes, Dad. Adrian, okay then, you better get going to Naboo. Wouldn't want to keep your queen waiting, would you? I nodded firmly and ran off with nothing but the lightsaber I had constructed with Master Jinx, and a few thousand credits to use. Dad said he would give me nothing, but since I didn't have any life experiences, enough to know how to get by, I would starve to death if I went with nothing, and a few hundred credits wouldn't last long since Naboo is a rich planet compared to Naboo. And I was going to Theed, the capital of Naboo's human population. As Anakin was running to the ship, his father Adrian met with another person of the same height as him, but this man wore a peculiar armor. Adrian, take care of him, Jack. Soon I will challenge the Republic and invite them to Cc's. It will be more dangerous for anyone associated with me in the future. Jack, don't worry about it. I'll take care of him from the shadows. He feels like my son as well. Adrian, you want to be his godfather? Cal is Ahsoka's godfather, and someone of your level of power can help him should he have to face an unexpected visit from the Force gods. Jack, you really think they'll come after him? Adrian, I have checked. Anakin is still the chosen one. The order the ones die in is a literal metaphor for the balance of the universe. The daughter died first at the hands of the son. The Sith, Darth Sidious, ordered Order 66 to happen, killing almost all the Jedi. The balance of the Force tipped to the dark side. Anakin killed the son and thus, reflecting what would happen in the future. Darth Vader killed Darth Sidious who killed the Jedi. Anakin killed the son who killed the daughter. And the father was the last to die from his own suicide. And so, balance returned to the galaxy. And not long after that, Luke and Darth Krayt, a Jedi and Sith, worked together to defeat Abeloth with the Bald of Mortis, ending chaos itself. I have checked countless times. Anakin is the chosen one, and the ones will meet him at some point. Jack, then I have better keep an eye on him so a better outcome than Vader will befall him. Anakin, wow, this place really is beautiful? I had just arrived Naboo, which is located in the Commel sector. When I got off the public transport ship, I felt the presence of someone following me, but I ignored it since Dad said I had the highest midichlorian count than everyone I will ever meet except for a certain few. I had been taught by Master Jinx and Dad about a multitude of things, but I could never beat Ahsoka in a lightsaber duel. Dad said he gave us something so we physically and slightly mentally mature faster, hence why Ahsoka looked like a teen like me, despite the both of us being less than 10 years old, although I am almost 10 myself. The both of them were highly skilled, but Ahsoka was just too fast and agile. Just the thought of constantly getting beaten on my ass over and over again made me frustrated. My fists clenched at the numerous times I was humiliated again and again for my losses. Unbeknownst to Anakin, his surroundings began creaking from the pressure of the force he was unconsciously using. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. The surroundings stopped creaking as Anakin breathed in and outwards deeply. Anakin, deep breaths Anakin. It is just a spar, no need to get worked up by it. I remembered and used the meditation techniques Master and Dad taught me to calm myself if I ever get any negative feelings or positive ones. I made my way past many places and took a look around Theed. I already found a place to live at while I was here. I just wanted to explore the place I would be living at for a long time. I passed many places and explored most of them while stealthily concealed myself with Force invisibility. I may not be skilled with a lightsaber as Ahsoka was, but I was a prodigy in learning Force abilities from Master. By the end of my first day, I had explored the Parnelli Museum of Art, Royal Academy of Theed, Theed University, the Market Square and then crossed the pergolas bridge that was built over the Salyu River a few times back and forth. The next morning, I awoke in the abandoned building I had decided to call my temporary home. I can't use the credits I have since the cost of renting a room was ludicrous. Dad also told me of the time he did the same thing at a very young age when he was in Mandalore. That was why he gave me so few credits and sternly told me to not waste them on luxuries and only for survival as part of my training and to help me attain valuable life experiences. Mom, Shmi, told me how she was a slave, and that I was too, but Dad, Adrian, adoptive father, had freed the both of us at an age I couldn't remember. If Mom can do it, then so can I. I was determined to prove that I can live up to Dad's expectations of me. A week passed and I had foolishly wasted a lot of credits on foods when I didn't need to. I had stolen only the necessary supplies to live and kept the credits in case an emergency came up. There were few orphans and beggars here in Theed. I felt pity for them since they were not well taught like me and couldn't get away without getting caught. I ended up making a few friends amongst them and I gave shares of what I stole. I only took what was needed and never too much from the same vendor, or they themselves would be making losses in profits, and as a result, they would end up just like us and on the streets. It has been 1 month since I arrived on Naboo. I kept feeling the same presence following me everywhere, but no matter what I did I couldn't find who or what it was. I am beginning to think I might be daydreaming or going crazy being away from family for so long. I was forbidden to contact anyone unless it was an emergency, and Kara made sure of that by installing the AI Orphelion into my datapad device that was modified to be built into a vambrace for easy use and carrying around. I headed out to the market square to do the tri-daily thievery of supplies for all the orphans I had gathered in all of Theed. There were a few hundred of us, so I had to create a secret bunker underground by tunneling out the space with the Force. We planted some crops and I was able to create an artificial light source using Force light. But this was a modified version and would act like a spell. Dad said he was inspired to recreate that was from a place called Skyrim. The spell was called Candlelight. My version is Force Candlelight. But I do have to recharge it with the Force every day. After 2 months the plants will be fully grown for harvesting, so we don't have to steal anymore. As I was walking down the streets of Theed, deciding what stall to steal from first, I saw a small person in a cloak being dragged down into an alley by a large fat man. Remember, Anakin, whenever someone is in need of help, you must help them. Never turn a blind eye to evil. Dad told me to help others, and that person is clearly in need of help. I won't let you down, Dad. I will help everyone in the galaxy so they won't be sad, just like you said you would do. I want to as well. I rushed down the street and into the alley. I used Force invisibility and stealthily made my way over to the two. Man, don't lie to me, brat. You definitely have credits on you. Look at your clothes. If you don't give me the credits you have, I'll be taking those clothes and your life. Please don't. I am telling the truth. I don't have any credits with me. Please don't hurt me. A high-pitched voice that sounded like that of a young girl came from the small hooded person. What the man said about the hooded person's clothes was true. I could see only some of what wasn't hidden by the cloak, but it definitely looked like it belongs to a noble by how fine the materials are. I uncloaked myself from my invisibility and used Force enhancement on myself, strengthening my physical capabilities. I could have used my telekinesis to easily render the man harmless. However, Dad and Master said to not reveal my abilities unless necessary or to certain individuals, as it will help me remain anonymous until it was necessary to reveal myself. I jumped up into the air and did a spinning axe kick to the man's shoulder. The impact from my axe kick had instantly rendered the man unconscious. Man 2. W who? W what intage dash? Anakin. Damn. I was an idiot. I should have paid more attention to my surroundings. How did I not see them before? The man was taking out a blaster pistol. I quickly reacted and dashing towards him. He aimed the blaster towards me and fired, but by then I already grabbed his arm and broke it, forcing him to drop the baster and howl in pain. I flipped him over and slammed him to the ground. I kicked him in the face and he was knocked out cold as well. This time I was paying more attention to my surroundings, noticing a few more bad people coming from the doorway of the nearby building. Anakin, run. I grabbed hold of the hooded person's soft and smooth hand and made a run for it. I could beat them all, but the hooded person would get hurt or killed as there were far too many for me to protect him or her from. We ran and ran until I led her to a secluded place. They were completely out of breath and tried desperately to refill their lungs with air. I didn't need to, as New York harsh training with Dad and Master made it so I can even outlast Uncles Jason and Cal in a race. They always got their revenge by somehow managing to get around my Force-enhanced senses, and I would end up covered in some kind of liquid that stinks for a week no matter how many baths I take. But Dad always helped me out, as he would either put a bomb of some kind of colored gas in their bedrooms that explodes like a miniature missile, would slip something into their food that would make them go ill and sometimes fart non-stop for a whole month. Or he would magically create water out of nowhere and splash them with a huge pressure stream of water on them all night for days straight. They looked like actual zombies a few days later since Dad would never let them get any sleep. They became so paranoid whenever they go to try to get to bed, that they always hold a blaster in their hands at night. I really miss those times. I had to go home and spend time with everyone again. Thank you Pant for saving me. I turned to look at the person I helped. Their hood had flown off from all the running we did, and I saw her beautiful and youthful face. Anakin, it isn't a problem. If it wasn't for you, I don't know what would have happened. Say, what's your name? Anakin. I'm Anakin. What's yours? Nice to meet you. My name is Padme. Neither wants to give full name due to reasons. Anakin Hawke Skywalker, Hawke would give away that he is associated with the enemy of the Republic. Skywalker isn't given because Shmi Skywalker used that name for a business. And Shmi can be tied back to Adrian since he had given some company branches to Shmi so she can take them for herself and her own company. Padme because, well, she is the queen of Naboo very soon. She isn't yet since King Ars Varuna is still alive and isn't killed by Sidious yet. He will be killed in half a month. Then Padme becomes queen. A little while later, Adrian declares war on the Republic to come to CC's and you know the rest. You should really read my author's notes since they do contain information like lore of characters, explanations and etc. Some are announcements but not all. 2 or 1 chapter and then EP1 begins. This just Anakin POV on Naboo. Also the other OCs, that were given to me by you individuals, but haven't made an appearance yet will do soon. Chapter 72, Chapter 53, Anakin on Naboo Part 2. Note about Padme's pregnancy and midichlorian count. They are fated as they are a dyad. I think it was mentioned in the cutscene in Episode 3, though I could be wrong if this fact is true. Padme was supposed to go to Yoda with help to relieve the pain of her pregnancy. Yoda was stunned at the amount of force power emanating from her. She had an aura of a being with 52,500 midichlorians. Confirmed to be the highest midichlorians count to exist for any living being, even higher than Abeloth. Padme, 2,500 midichlorians normal, before pregnancy. Padme, 52,500 midichlorians, cannot use force. During pregnancy with the Skywalker twins. Padme, 2,500 midichlorians normal, after pregnancy. She just had midichlorian count. She cannot actually use the Force since her base midichlorian count was not 7,500 minimal limit. Luke is 25,000, Leia is 25,000, Padme is 2,500. Also, unless you know biology then don't complain about this isn't how it whirls, cause it does. I researched what midichlorians are and how they are determined and I won't give a lecture here. This is so you remember for future. Voice of the Unknown Regions.
Muuka Shinvan Elika, Mulica Din Gaizat. Padme naberi Anakin Hawke Skywalker Shakulica Drinaldiat.
Anakin, Padme. Padme, what is it? Anakin, nothing. Your name just feels familiar. I could feel some anxiety coming from her. Padme, how is it familiar? Anakin, it's like, I know you and don't at the same time. Sorry, I just can't describe it. She looked like she was going to say something but was cut short as we heard the sound of a strong and deep-voiced man. Padme, so this is where I saw you run off to. Padme. Panika. Sue, what are you doing here? Come to play with us as well. Padme was practically screaming at this point. I think she ran away from this Panika person, who is most likely her escort. So she really is a noble, and a high-ranking one at that. Panika, your jokes aren't going to get you out of trouble this time. I heard the sound of a blaster and apprehended some thugs. They told us everything and how they tried to rob you for credits. I followed the footage from the city surveillance and got here very quickly. When His Highnesses heard about this incident you won't be going out on any of these excursions again. I was shocked. This girl is a princess. The Princess of Naboo. Padme saw my shocked face and felt a little nervous under my stunned gaze. This was the first time I had met royalty and the experience was very. Panika. And who is this? Panika was quick to scan and evaluate me under his stern gaze. I could feel he was trying to apply a pressure of dominance over me as he intently looked into my eyes. I didn't flinch and looked back meeting the veteran man's eyes with my own, presumably a captain or a commander rank, if he was tasked with escorting the princess. Padme on the side was a little nervous and fidgety as she watched from the side. She couldn't take it anymore and stepped in between the both of us, breaking our starring contest where neither side backed down. Padme, this is Anakin. He saved me from the bad men who tried robbing me in the alley. Panika looked a little surprised that a young teenage-looking boy, like me, could take on multiple adult men alone. Panika, thank you for help in protecting the princess. Anakin, it was the right thing to do to help someone in trouble. He smiled slightly at me, quoting my dad. Padme. Anakin, come with us to the palace. My father will gladly reward you for helping me. Oh, one more thing, Anakin. When someone offers you a reward for the first time on Naboo, make sure to accept it, okay? Why? Just do it. Mama. Dad's shouting for no reason again. Shmi isn't here to save you this time. I'm not listening. La 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 la. Ow wow wow. Not the ear. What if I reject this offer? Yeah, no. I'm not going to get punished by Dad again, I'll just accept it this one time. He has always been right so far. Anakin, are you sure someone like me can meet with His Highness, like this? Padme. Don't worry about it. He won't mind. Panika sighs as his words of protest were ignored by the two of us talking over him and blocking out his voice. Present day. 968 after Ruzan Reformation, 32 BBY, 32 before Battle of Yavin, first Death Star explodes at Battle of Yavin. The two Jedi ambassadors are boarding the Trade Federation command ship, blockading Naboo. Ava POV. Ah, this is great. I feel so happy. I am finally back together with Adrian after so long. I was too busy snuggling in his embrace on board his ship, the Icarus, to have noticed that he was currently adjusting a hollow TV projection to show what is happening on the TF command ship. Adrian, Ava, come on, you'll miss it. Ava, miss what? Valuable time dubbing my face onto your bare chest. Adrian, that too, but mainly a real-life version of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace that I am playing live right now. Ava, what? I turned my head as fast as I could and I could see it. The screen was showing the events of the first movie. I slammed my face into his and hurt my nose, forgetting that without using force enhancement, I have a weak physical body. And his body was made from practically every durable material I could think of. And my face hit into it. I rubbed my nose a little as the damage healed, and then I turned to face him again. Ava, you're amazing. Adrian, oh, it gets better. Look. I turned around immediately, and as soon as I did, the whole room turned pitch black as everything turned off. Seconds later, everything glowed in a multitude of colors, and everything around us became three-dimensional particles that shrunk and condensed into 3D objects and people. He had just made the movie into a 3D movie. It was like I was actually there. And it's in perfect color. Ava, how? Adrian, 'cause I'm smart as fuck, baby. Now watch. Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. Hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict. Pan down to reveal a small space cruiser heading toward camera at great speed. Pan with the cruiser as it heads toward the beautiful green planet of Naboo, which is surrounded by hundreds of Trade Federation battleships. Int. Republic cruiser. Cockpit. In the cockpit of the cruise, the captain and pilot maneuver closer to one of the battleships. QUIGON. Off-screen voice, Captain. The captain turns to an unseen figure sitting behind her. Captain. Yes, sir? QUIGON. V.O. Tell them we wish to board at once. Captain. Yes, sir. The captain looks to her view screen, where Newt Gunray, a Neimoidian trade viceroy, waits for a reply. Captain, Conted, with all due respect for the Trade Federation, the ambassadors for the Supreme Chancellor wish to board immediately. Newt. Yes, of course. As you know, our blockade is perfectly legal, and we'd be happy to receive the ambassador. Happy to. The screen goes black. Out the cockpit window, the sinister battleship looms ever closer. EXT. Federation battleship. Docking bay, space, FX. The small space cruiser docks in the enormous main bay of the Federation battleship. Int. Federation battleship. Docking bay, space. A protocol DROID, TC-14, waits at the door to the docking bay. 2 worker droids, PK-4 and EG-9 watch. PK-4. They must be important if the Viceroy sent one of those useless protocol gearheads to greet them. The door opens, and the Republic cruiser can be seen in the docking the Icarus, Adrian's, and Ava/Gwen's bedroom. Ava, how is Obi-Wan Kenobi alive? He died on Mandalore. Adrian, stop choking and punching me. I used the world between worlds and time traveled after making a clone of him. Then I replaced the real him with a clone as the explosion happened so no one would notice. I dumped him back at the Jedi Temple a month ago. You were still in your coma so you didn't know. Ava, then why wasn't I told about this after I awoke? Adrian, because you were too busy crying your ass off and staying by my side for anyone to even get the time to tell you. Now watch. Int. Federation battleship. Conference room. A door slides open, and the 2 cloaked shapes are led past camera into the formal conference room by TC-14. TC-14. I hope you honored sirs with the most comfortable here. My master will be with you shortly. The droid bows before Obi-Wan Kenobi and QUI, Gon Jinn. He backs out the door and it closes. The Jedi lower their hoods and look out a large window at the lush green planet of Naboo. QUI-Gon 60 years old, has long white hair in a ponytail. He is tall and striking, with blue eyes. Obi-Wan is 25, with very short brown hair, pale skin, and blue eyes. Several exotic, bird-like creatures sing in a cage near the door. Obi-Wan. I have a bad feeling about this. Qui-Gon. I don't sense anything. Obi-Wan. It's not about the mission, Master, it's something elsewhere, elusive. Qui-Gon. Don't center on your anxiety, Obi-Wan. Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs. Obi-Wan. Master Yoda says I should be mindful of the future. Qui-Gon. But not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living force, my young Padawan. Obi-Wan. Yes, Master. How do you think the Trade Viceroy will deal with the Chancellor's demands? Qui-Gon. These Federation types are cowards. The negotiations will be short. Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. A/and the Dioxis gas was used right now. Fun fact. Did you know Dioxis is only used one more time in all of Star Wars? During the episode, The Box, Obi-Wan in disguise warned Cad Bane and the other bounty hunters not to breath the lethally toxic gas called Dioxis. The gas used against the Xylo beast on Coruscant was different. A hologram of Newt, surrounded by battle droids, appears in the conference room hallway. Newt, they must be dead by now. Blast, what's left of them. The hologram fades off, as a battle droid, OWO-1, cautiously opens the door. A deadly green cloud billows from the room. Battle droids cock their weapons as a figure stumbles out of the smoke. It is TC-14, carrying the tray of drinks. TC-14. Oh, excuse me, so sorry. The protocol droid passes the armed camp just as two flashing laser swords fly out of the deadly fog, cutting down several battle droids before they can fire. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. The bridge is a cacophony of alarms. Newt and Rune watch OWO-1 on the view screen. OWO-1. Not sure exactly what. OWO-1 is suddenly cut in half in mid-sentence. Rune gives Newt a worried look. Newt, what in blazes is going on down there? Rune, have you ever encountered a Jedi Knight before, sir? Newt, well, not exactly, but I don't. Panicked, seal off the bridge. Rune, that won't be enough, sir. The doors to the bridge slam shut. Newt, I want destroyer droids up here at once. Rune, we will not survive this. Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. Outside bridge. Qui-Gon cuts several battle droids in half, creating a shower of sparks and metal parts. Obi-Wan raises his hand, sending several battle droids crashing into the wall. Qui-Gon makes his way to the bridge door and begins to cut through it. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. The crew is very nervous as sparks start flying around the bridge door. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are on the view screen. Newt, close the blast doors. The huge, very thick blast door slams shut, followed by a second door, then a third. There is a hissing sound as the huge doors seal shut. Qui-Gon tabs the door with his sword. The screen goes black as a red spot appears in the center of the blast door. Rune, they're still coming through. On the door, chunks of molten metal begin to drop away. Newt, impossible. This is impossible. Rune, where are those destroyer droids? Endroit destroyer AK Driodeka. Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. Outside bridge. 10 ugly destroyer-wheel droids roll down the hallway at full speed. Just before they get to the bridge area, they stop and transform into their battle configuration. Qui-Gon can't see them but senses their presence. Qui-Gon, destroyer droit. Obi-Wan, offhand, I'd say this mission is past the negotiation stage. The wheel droids, led by P-59, rush the entry area from 3 hallways, blasting away with their laser guns. They stop firing and stand in a semicircle as the smoke clears. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are nowhere to be seen. P-59. Switch to bio. There they are. The Jedi materialize at the far end of the hallway and dash through the doorway that slams shut. The wheel droids blast away at the 2 Jedi with their laser swords. Obi-Wan. They have shield generators. Qui-Gon. It's a standoff. Let's go. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both vanish in a blur down one of the hallways using force speed to escape the droids. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. Newt and Rune stand on the bridge, watching the view screen as the wheel droid's POV speeds to the doorway. Rune, we have them on the run, sir. They're no match for destroyer droids. Ty how, sir, they've gone up the ventilation shaft. Int. Federation battleship. Main bay. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan appear at a large vent in a giant hangar bay. They are careful not to be seen. Thousands of battle droids are loading onto landing craft. Qui-Gon, battle droit. Obi-Wan. It's an invasion army. Qui-Gon. It's an odd play for the Trade Federation. We've got to warn the Naboo and contact Chancellor Valorum. Let's split up. Stow aboard separate ships and meet down on the planet. Obi-Wan, you were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. T.Y. How receives a transmission. T.Y. How, sir, a transmission from the planet. Rune. It's Queen Amidala herself. Newt. At last we're getting results. On the view screen, Queen Amidala appears in her throne room. Wearing her elaborate headdress and robes, she sits, surrounded by the governing council and 4 handmaidens, Urti, Yane, Rabe, and Satch. Newt, conted. Again you come before me, your highness. The Federation is pleased. Wherever Amidala is used, it's actually Sabe, her best friend and bodyguard acting as her body double. Padme is the real queen. By the way, when Dmi became queen she changed her name from Nayberry to Amidala. Amidala, you will not be pleased when you hear what I have to say, Viceroy. Your trade boycott of our planet has ended.
Nute smirksatt Rune.
Newt, I was not aware of such a failure. Amidala, I have word that the Senate is finally voting on this blockade of yours. Newt, I take it you know the outcome. I wonder why they bother to vote. Amidala, enough of this pretense, Viceroy. I'm aware the Chancellor's ambassadors are with you now, and that you have been commanded to reach a settlement. Newt, I know nothing about any ambassadors. You must be mistaken. Amidala, surprised at his reaction, studies him carefully. Amidala, beware, Viceroy. The Federation is going too far this time. Newt, Your Highness, we would never do anything without the approval of the Senate. You assume too much. Amidala, we will see. The Queen fades off, and the view screen goes black. Rune, she's right, the Senate will never. Newt, it's too late now. Rune, do you think she suspects an attack? Newt, I don't know, but we must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there. Int. Naboo Palace. Throne Room. The Queen, Urti, Satch and her governor, Seo Bibble, stand before a hologram of Senator Palpatine, a thin, kindly man. Palpatine. How could that be true? I have assurances from the Chancellor. His ambassadors did arrive. It must be the... negotiate. The hologram of Palpation sputters and fades away. Amidala. Senator Palpatine? Turns to Panika. What's happening? Captain Panika turns to his sergeant. Capt. Panika. Check the transmission generators. Bibble. A malfunction? Capt. Panika. It could be the Federation jamming us. Your Highness. Bibble. A communications disruption can only mean one thing. Invasion. Amidala. Don't jump to conclusions, Governor. The Federation would not dare go that far. Capt. Panika. The Senate would revoke their trade franchise, and they'd be finished. A/N This is impossible. Trade Federation is too influential and powerful, causing the galaxy to heavily rely upon them. That is why they are still active after EP1 and TF still exists. Amidala. We must continue to rely on negotiation. Bibble. Negotiation? We've lost all communications. And where are the Chancellor's ambassadors? How can we negotiate? We must prepare to defend ourselves. Capt. Panika. This is a dangerous situation, Your Highness. Our security volunteers will be no match against a battle-hardened Federation army. Amidala. I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war. Just then, another person standing off the side behind the Queen, and close to one of the servants, spoke up. This was of course Anakin Hawke Skywalker, the bodyguard of the Queen. His eyes opened from deep meditation and his words shocked the room. Anakin, it's too late. They are invading as we speak. We must leave immediately. Y. 2 darkly robed figures are greeted by TC-14. TC-14. I'm TC-14 at your service. This way, please. They move off down the hallway. EG-9. A Republic cruiser. That's trouble. Don't you think? Bar 4. I'm not made to think. TC-14. Greetings, honored sirs. Kagon. Greetings. Hello there. To be continued. Chapter 54. Space Jesus is alive. Chapter 73. Chapter 54. Invasion of Naboo. The Icarus, Adrian's, and Ava/Gwen's bedroom. Ava. How is Obi-Wan Kenobi alive? He died on Mandalore. Adrian. Stop choking and punching me. I used the world between worlds and time traveled after making a clone of him. Then I replaced the real him with a clone as the explosion happened so no one would notice. I dumped him back at the Jedi Temple a month ago. You were still in your coma so you didn't know. Ava. Then why wasn't I told about this after I awoke? Adrian. Because you were too busy crying your ass off and staying by my side for anyone to even get the time to tell you. Now watch. Int. Federation battleship. Conference room. A door slides open, and the two cloaked shapes are led past camera into the formal conference room by TC-14. TC-14. I hope you honored sirs with the most comfortable here. My master will be with you shortly. The droid bows before Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui, Gon Jinn. He backs out the door and it closes. The Jedi lower their hoods and look out a large window at the lush green planet of Naboo. Qui, 60 years old, has long white hair in a ponytail. He is tall and striking, with blue eyes. Obi-Wan is 25, with very short brown hair, pale skin, and blue eyes. Several exotic, bird-like creatures sing in a cage near the door. Obi-Wan, I have a bad feeling about this. Qui, I don't sense anything. Obi-Wan, it's not about the mission, master, it's something elsewhere, elusive. Qui, don't center on your anxiety, Obi-Wan. Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs. Obi-Wan, Master Yoda says I should be mindful of the future. Qui, but not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living force, my young Padawan. Obi-Wan, yes, master. How do you think the trade viceroy will deal with the Chancellor's demands? Qui, these Federation types are cowards. The negotiations will be short. Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. And the dioxis gas was used right now. Fun fact. Did you know dioxis is only used one more time in all of Star Wars? During the episode, The Box, Obi-Wan in disguise warned Cad Bane and the other bounty hunters not to breath the lethally toxic gas called dioxis. The gas used against the Xylo beast on Coruscant was different. A hologram of Newt, surrounded by battle droids, appears in the conference room hallway. Newt, they must be dead by now. Blast, what's left of them. The hologram fades off, as a battle droid, OWO-1, cautiously opens the door. A deadly green cloud billows from the room. Battle droids cock their weapons as a figure stumbles out of the smoke. It is TC-14, carrying the tray of drinks. TC-14. Oh, excuse me, so sorry. The protocol droid passes the armed camp just as two flashing laser swords fly out of the deadly fog, cutting down several battle droids before they can fire. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. The bridge is a cacophony of alarms. Newt and Rune watch OWO-1 on the view screen. OWO-1. Not sure exactly what. OWO-1 is suddenly cut in half in mid-sentence. Rune gives Newt a worried look. Newt, what in blazes is going on down there? Rune, have you ever encountered a Jedi Knight before, sir? Newt, well, not exactly, but I don't. Panicked, seal off the bridge. Rune, that won't be enough, sir. The doors to the bridge slam shut. Newt, I want destroyer droids up here at once. Rune, we will not survive this. Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. Outside bridge. QUIGON cuts several battle droids in half, creating a shower of sparks and metal parts. Obi-Wan raises his hand, sending several battle droids crashing into the wall. QUIGON makes his way to the bridge door and begins to cut through it. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. The crew is very nervous as sparks start flying around the bridge door. QUIGON and Obi-Wan are on the view screen. Newt, close the blast doors. The huge, very thick blast door slams shut, followed by a second door, then a third. There is a hissing sound as the huge doors seal shut. Qui-Gon tabs the door with his sword. The screen goes black as a red spot appears in the center of the blast door. Rune, they're still coming through. On the door, chunks of molten metal begin to drop away.
Newt, impossible.
This is impossible. Rune, where are those destroyer droids?
AN droit destroyer AK Driodeka.
Int. Federation battleship. Hallway. Outside bridge. 10 ugly destroyer-wheel droids roll down the hallway at full speed. Just before they get to the bridge area, they stop and transform into their battle configuration. Qui-Gon can't see them but senses their presence.
Qui-Gon, destroyer droit.
Obi-Wan, offhand, I'd say this mission is past the negotiation stage. The wheel droids, led by P-59, rush the entry area from 3 hallways, blasting away with their laser guns. They stop firing and stand in a semicircle as the smoke clears. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are nowhere to be seen. P-59. Switch to bio. There they are. The Jedi materialize at the far end of the hallway and dash through the doorway that slams shut. The wheel droids blast away at the 2 Jedi with their laser swords. Obi-Wan. They have shield generators. Qui-Gon. It's a standoff. Let's go. OBI-1 and QUIGON both vanish in a blur down one of the hallways using force speed to escape the droids. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. Newt and Rune stand on the bridge, watching the view screen as the wheel droid's POV speeds to the doorway. Rune, we have them on the run, sir. They're no match for destroyer droids. TY how, sir, they've gone up the ventilation shaft. Int. Federation battleship. Main bay. QUIGON and OBI-1 appear at a large vent in a giant hangar bay. They are careful not to be seen. Thousands of battle droids are loading onto landing craft.
QUIGON, battle droit.
OBI-1. It's an invasion army. QUIGON. It's an odd play for the Trade Federation. We've got to warn the Naboo and contact Chancellor Valorum. Let's split up. Stow aboard separate ships and meet down on the planet. OBI-1. You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. TY how receives a transmission. TY how, sir, a transmission from the planet. Rune. It's Queen Amidala herself. Newt. At last we're getting results. On the view screen, Queen Amidala appears in her throne room. Wearing her elaborate headdress and robes, she sits, surrounded by the governing council and 4 handmaidens, Urti, Yane, Rabe, and Satch. Newt. Conted. Again you come before me, your highness. The Federation is pleased. Wherever Amidala is used, it's actually Sabe, her best friend and bodyguard acting as her body double. Padme is the real queen. By the way, when Dmi became queen she changed her name from Nayberry to Amidala. Amidala, you will not be pleased when you hear what I have to say, Viceroy. Your trade boycott of our planet has ended. Newt smirks at Rune. Newt. I was not aware of such a failure. Amidala. I have word that the Senate is finally voting on this blockade of yours. Newt. I take it you know the outcome. I wonder why they bother to vote. Amidala. Enough of this pretense, Viceroy. I'm aware the Chancellor's ambassadors are with you now, and that you have been commanded to reach a settlement. Newt. I know nothing about any ambassadors. You must be mistaken. Amidala, surprised at his reaction, studies him carefully. Amidala. Beware, Viceroy. The Federation is going too far this time. Newt. Your Highness, we would never do anything without the approval of the Senate. You assume too much. Amidala. We will see. The Queen fades off, and the view screen goes black. Rune. She's right, the Senate will never. Newt. It's too late now. Rune. Do you think she suspects an attack? Newt. I don't know, but we must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there. Int. Naboo Palace. Throne Room. The Queen, Urti, Satch and her governor, Seo Bibble, stand before a hologram of Senator Palpatine, a thin, kindly man. Palpatine. How could that be true? I have assurances from the Chancellor. His ambassadors did arrive. It must be the... negotiate. The hologram of Palpation sputters and fades away. Amidala. Senator Palpatine? Turns to Panika. What's happening? Captain Panika turns to his sergeant. Capt. Panika. Check the transmission generators. Bibble. A malfunction? Capt. Panika. It could be the Federation jamming us. Your Highness. Bibble. A communications disruption can only mean one thing. Invasion. Amidala. Don't jump to conclusions, Governor. The Federation would not dare go that far. Capt. Panika. The Senate would revoke their trade franchise, and they'd be finished. A/N This is impossible. Trade Federation is too influential and powerful, causing the galaxy to heavily rely upon them. That is why they are still active after EP1 and TF still exists. Amidala. We must continue to rely on negotiation. Bibble. Negotiation? We've lost all communications. And where are the Chancellor's ambassadors? How can we negotiate? We must prepare to defend ourselves. Capt. Panika. This is a dangerous situation, Your Highness. Our security volunteers will be no match against a battle-hardened Federation army. Amidala. I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war. Just then, another person standing off the side behind the Queen, and close to one of the servants, spoke up. This was of course Anakin Hawke Skywalker, the bodyguard of the Queen. His eyes opened from deep meditation and his words shocked the room. Anakin. It's too late. They are invading as we speak. We must leave immediately. EXT. Space Landing Craft. Twilight. FX. 6 landing craft fly in formation toward the surface of the planet Naboo. EXT. Naboo Swamp. Shallow Lake. Twilight. 3 landing craft slowly descend through the cloud cover of the perpetually gray twilight side of the planet. One by one, the Federation warships land in the eerie swamp. Obi-Wan's head emerges from the mud of a shallow lake. For in the background, the activities of the invasion force can be seen in the mist. Obi-Wan takes several deep breaths, then disappears again under the muddy swamp. Troop transports, MTTs, emerge from the landing craft. EXT, Naboo edge of swamp/grass plains. Twilight, FX. The droid invasion force moves out of the swamp and onto a grassy plain. 9, in his tank, looks out over the vast army marching across the rolling hills. A small hologram of Rune and Newt stands on the tank. Rune, and there is no trace of the Jedi. They may have gotten onto one of your landing craft. 9, if they are down here, sir, we'll find them. We are moving out of the swamp and are marching on the cities. We are meeting no resistance. Newt. Excellent. Chapter 74. Chapter 55. A clumsy gun gone. EXT. Naboo swamp. Twilight. Kuai-Jun runs through the strange landscape, glancing back to see the monstrous troop transports emerging from the mist. Animals begin to run past him in a panic. An odd, frog-like Gungan, Jar Jar Binks, squats holding a clam he has retrieved from the murky swamp. The shell pops open. Jar Jar's Greta tongue snaps out and grabs the clam, swallowing it in one gulp. Jar Jar looks up and sees Kuai-Jun and the other creatures running like the wind toward him. One of the huge MTTs bears down on the Jedi like a charging locomotive. Jar Jar stands transfixed, still holding the clamshell in one hand. Jar Jar. Oh no. Jar Jar drops the shell and grabs onto Kuai-Jun as he passes. The Jedi is caught by surprise. Jar Jar, taunted. Hey, help me. Help me.
Kuai-Jun, let go.
The machine is about to crush them as Kuai-Jun drags Jar Jar behind him. Just as the transport is about to hit them, Kuai-Jun drops, and Jar Jar goes splat into the mud with him. The transport races overhead. Kuai-Jun and Jar Jar pull themselves out of the mud. They stand watching the war machine disappear into the mist. Jar Jar grabs Kuai-Jun and hugs him. Jar Jar, oi, mui mui. I love yous. The frog-like creature kisses the Jedi. Kuai-Jun, are you brainless? You almost got us killed. Jar Jar, I spake. Chapter 61. Chapter 47. Gwen's guilt. Gasp. Ava gasped awake, breathing in and out heavily as she tried to regain her senses. She looked around her and noticed that she was in her room at the Jedi Temple. She spent some time trying to regain her senses. Once she did, she had broken down with tears rolling down as she cried and sobbed her eyes and heart out at what she had done. She remembered everything, and that she had killed Amar. Never did she think that they would re-encounter each other under such circumstances, that they would fight each other numerous times. She continued to wallow in her despair for the following days. Various doctors and people had come by to give her food and check up on her once she had awoken from her 2-month coma. Back when CCs had been destroyed by Ava's accidental force scream, only her and another thing was all that had remained from the battle. Admiral Trench had made a retreat with the Cerberus fleet and left the solar system as soon as they detected that the planet was about to explode. The Republic fleet had been able to recover from the Dreadnought's ion cannon and were able to get far enough away from the planet's explosion. Once CCs was reduced to space dust, a Rublik transport/scout ship was set to find out if anything had remained. And there was. The Republic had taken Ava to seek medical attention and had seized control of Subject Zer-0, as the name was written on it. They placed Subject Zer-0 under heavy security within a heavily secured vault of the Temple Spire at the Hall of Knighthood. A/N Temple Spire is Central Tower. At top level is Jedi High Council Chamber for Yoda, Windu and so on. Hall of Knighthood is one level below Jedi High Council Chamber. Hall of Knighthood is where a Padawan becomes a Jedi Knight. Trough tradition of cutting of the Padawan braid by the Grand Master of the Order, Yoda. Ava was in perfect health, but was in a coma for an unknown time, thus she had been sent back to her room and would be monitored there. Thus, the present day came when she was now awake but an aura of sadness loomed around her. Ava remained in perfect harmony with the light and dark side, and so Yoda and Windu had accepted her current state, but that did not mean that they didn't try to help her to try and return to the once cheerful girl she had always been. All the Jedi Masters of the High Council had tried given advice to her to cope with her loss, as they had become aware that she had fallen in love Adrian Hawke at some point. Ki-Adi-Mundi had given the most heartless piece of advice, simply saying that he had lost his entire village and family but he did not mourn them nor feel any emotion at their parting, and neither should she. Plo Koon and Yoda had given the best responses out of all the council members, and had seen traces of emotion return to Ava which showed that it had helped her somewhat. What they didn't know was that what they had said were similar words to what Adrian had said in their past life on Earth. A week had gone by since Ava had awoken. By this point she had fully come to terms with what she had done, but not only that, but that she can potentially undo it. She can save Adrian and prevent her past self from killing him. She went over all her returned memories by this point and had remembered the one thing that she can use to save him. The world between worlds. She didn't know where Lothal was, so she would need to go to the Jedi archives to get the coordinates to head to the world of Lothal where she remembered the world between worlds was located. This was all she could do and would repeat it in her mind over and over again in an attempt to stay focused and try to alleviate her guilt and despair. She was determined to save him from death. First-person POV. I was sitting at a table and was searching the records of countless coordinates for every world listed by the Republic and the Jedi. I already had the coordinates for Lothal as I just had to type its name and there we go, I already had it. I was currently looking for possible coordinates for other worlds that can be linked to Lothal, Ilum, Mortis and Octu. All these worlds were connected to each other in some way. I remember Adrian was a huge nerd that was obsessed with trying to learn the secret history of the ones in Star Wars. He showed me pictures of certain places of these worlds, and they all had the same markings and images on the ground, exactly like the ones seen on Mortis during the Mortis arc in the TV show. He told me that the ones, or more specifically, the celestial race had dominated the galaxy millions of years ago and enslaved its inhabitants to create grand structures and architecture. One of these was the world between worlds created by the ones. There were many others, but only the world between worlds was actually revealed. The Celestials also was responsible with the current formation of the galaxy, stars, and planets. They had used their power and the enslaved races to create practically every solar system's arrangement in the Star Wars galaxy. The Kilix and Rakata was the most notable races to be enslaved by the Celestials. The Kilix was enslaved and created by the Celestials 1 million years ago. The son, daughter and father were the most notable slave masters of the Kilix, which confirms their age to at least be 1 million years old. The Rakata eventually was able to acquire knowledge from the Kilix, after deceiving them, about the dark side of the Force and were able to combine dark side energies with their own technology. With this technology they were able to overthrow their celestial masters and thus began the Rakata Infinite Empire. What happened to the Celestials were unknown as many theories exist, and the Rakata overthrowing the Celestials is not a guaranteed event, but a heavily theorized one since this was in legends known as the Celestial Rakata War. The Celestials vanished, shortly after as a result of their in 30,000 BBY. A/N Kilix species is 100,000 BBY to 1 million BBY. I am not sure which as it shifts from canon to legends back and forth. In 100,000 BBY, the ones were responsible for creating the hyperspace anomaly in the unknown regions due to their fear of what lurks within. Not long after that did they meet a human woman called Abeloth. But Abeloth would eventually become known as the bringer of chaos, the beloved queen of the stars. For some reason I feel strange when I think about her. My memories are still mixed with my life as Gwen, and my current one as Ava. I still don't know what I should call myself. I pushed these thoughts aside to return to what I was currently doing. I wanted to know if there were any other creations of the ones in the galaxy and why the worlds I was looking into were related to one another. If you can't use the world between worlds, then I can always get Lord Momin's helmet and use it to create Vader's castle on Mustafar in order to resurrect Adrian if I had no other option. Hello? Hello? Missy? I was woken up from my slumber by a gentle feminine young voice. I must have fallen asleep during my research. I turned to the youngling girl before me and noticed she had some horns on her hair like a crown. She was a Zabrak. Ava? Ah yes. Sorry, I was asleep. Did you need something, youngling? The girl seemed nervous and fidgeted with her hands. Ah, no. It was just because I felt you were sad, Anne. I see. Sigh, I knew this would happen at some point due to my depressing aura around me. The girl was just trying to be nice. Why is she so nervous? Oh, I get it. It's because I'm a Jedi Master and she thought waking me to ask me about my feelings was prying into my personal area. Ava, it's okay. I was just sad because I had lost some dear to me recently and have been having a hard time accepting it. I can never accept it. I lost him in our past life, and now I lost him in this one, and what was worse was I was responsible for it this time around. Miss Master. I don't know if this helps, but Master Kagan said that we shouldn't mourn those that we lose, because we never truly lose them. They will always be with us through the Force. A/N Kagan fell in love with a female Jedi called Tal. She died in his arms, and the two of them had given their vows to one another so that they can be married before she dies. 2 years before Tal's death, they had an illegitimate daughter called Cara Jinn. Kagan had hidden her real name and she is known as Karata Jean as to hide her parentage from the Jedi Council. Bet you didn't know that, did ya? Ava, yes. I suppose so. It was then that I realized I still hadn't gotten her name, nor given mine. Ava, my name is Ava Kendra. What is yours, youngling? Taya, my name is Taya, Miss Master. I felt a vein expand when I heard that name. Ava, my name isn't Miss Master, it is Ava, or Master Ava. Taya, okay Miss Master. My eye twitched a little as I had a smile plastered on my face. Does this girl seriously call people that? Surely not. She had just Master Kagan a while ago. Sigh. Obi-Wan, a man with a blue tail said he would help you so you won't be clumsy? Suddenly there is a loud crash, and the little craft lurches to one side. Qiuijion looks around and sees a huge, luminous opposite killer has hooked them with its long gooey tongue. Qiuijion. Full speed ahead. Instead of full ahead, Jar Jar jams the controls into reverse. The sub flies into the mouth of the creature. Jar Jar. Oops. Obi-Wan. Give me the controls. Obi-Wan takes over the controls and the OPSEA killer instantly releases the sub from its mouth. Jar Jar. Weeser free. As the sub zooms away they see a larger set of jaws, munching on the hapless killer. The jaws belong to the incredible Sando Aqua monster. The lights on the tiny sub begin to flicker as they cruise deeper into the gloom. Qiuijion. There's always a bigger fish. Int. Federation battleship. Bridge. Newt and Rune stand before a hologram of Darth Sidious. Newt. The invasion is on schedule, my lord. Darth Sidious. Good. I have the Senate bogged down in procedures. By the time this incident comes up for a vote, they will have no choice but to accept your control of the system. Newt. The Queen has great faith the Senate will side with her. Darth Sidious. Queen Amidala is young and naive. You will find controlling her will not be difficult. You have done well, Viceroy. Newt. Thank you, my lord. Darth Sidious fades away. Rune. You didn't tell him about the missing Jedi? Newt. No need to report that to him, until we have something to report. Int. Sub-cockpit. Underwater. Sparks are flying, and water is leaking into the cabin. The sound of the power drive drops. Obi-Wan. We're losing power. Obi-Wan is working with the sparking wires. Jar Jar panics. Qiuijion. Stay calm. We're not in trouble yet. Jar Jar. What yet? Monsters out there. Leaken in here, all in sinken, and no power. You nutsen. When Yusa tink Weesa in trouble. Obi-Wan. Power's back. The lights flicker on, revealing an ugly Colo Claw fish right in front of them. Jar Jar. Mon stares back. The large Colo Claw fish is surprised and rears back. The sub turns around and speeds away. Jar Jar. Conted. Weesa in trouble now?
Qiuijion, relax.
Qiuijion puts his hand on Jar Jar's shoulder. Jar Jar relaxes into a coma. Obi-Wan. You overdid it. The Colo Claw fish leaps after the fleeing sub as it shoots out of the tunnel and into the waiting jaws of the Sando Aqua monster. Obi-Wan. Conted. This is not good.
Jar Jar regains consciousness.
Jar Jar. Weesa dead yet?
Oi boy.
Jar Jar's eyes bulge, and he faints again. The sub narrowly avoids the deadly teeth of the Aqua monster. The Colo Claw fish chasing them isn't so lucky. It is munched in half by the larger predator. The little sub slips away. Qiuijion. Head for that outcropping. EXT. Theed. Main road into Theed, Day, FX. The long columns of the droid army move down the main road leading to Theed, the Naboo capital. EXT. Theed Plaza, Day, FX. As the Queen watches helplessly from a window in the palace, a transport carrying Newt and Rune lands in Theed Plaza. They exit the transport. Newt. Ah, victory. Meanwhile, Anakin had came AMD stood beside the Queen to escort her away, now that the others were safe. Anakin. We best get moving or we will have a harder time to get away. The Queen nodded her head and LFT with Anakin to where Padme and the other handmaidena are. Int. Naboo Lake. Underwater. Sub. FX. The little sub continued to propel itself toward the surface, which is brightly lit. Jar Jar. Weesa doed it. EXT. Theed. Estuary, Day. Paradise. Billowing clouds frame a romantic body of water. There is a loud rush of bubbles, and a small sub bobs to the surface. The current in the estuary begins to pull the sub backward into a fast-moving river. Obi-Wan switches off the two remaining bubble canopies. Qiuijion stands up to look around. Jar Jar lets out a sigh of relief. Jar Jar. Weesa safe now. Qiuijion. Get this thing started. Jar Jar. Dissin berry good. Hey. Obi-Wan. What is it? Jar Jar looks back to where they're drifting. He sees they are headed for a huge waterfall. Jar Jar, what?
Oi boy.
Obi-Wan tries to start the engine. The long props behind the sub slowly begin to rotate. Obi-Wan struggles until finally, a few feet short of the waterfall, the sub starts and is able to generate enough power to stop drifting backward in the powerful current. The sub slowly moves forward. In the background, Qiuijion takes a cable out of his belt. The engine coughs and dies. They start drifting backward again. Jar Jar panics. Jar Jar. Conted, Thei. Weesa Diane here, hey. Qiuijion shoots the thin cable, and it wraps itself around a railing on the shore. The sub pulls the cable taut, and the little craft hangs precariously over the edge of the waterfall. Quigon. Come on. Obi-Wan climbs out of the sub and pulls himself along the cable. Quigon starts in after him. Quigon, conted, come on, Jar Jar. Jar Jar, no. Too scary. Obi-Wan, get up here. Jar Jar, no a mighty no. Jar Jar looks back and sees he is hanging over the waterfall. Jar Jar, conted, oi boy, Mesa comin'.
Mesa comen.
Jar Jar starts to climb out of the sub. Obi-Wan is on shore and helps to pull Quigon out of the water. Obi-Wan, that was close. Battle Droid 3B3, O.S, drop your weapons. The two Jedi turn around to see a battle droid standing in front of them. Jar Jar climbs up on shore between the Jedi. Battle Droid 3B3, I said drop your weapons. Quigon ignites his laser sword, and in a brief flash, the droid is cut down by the Jedi. A stray laser bolt hits the cable and the sub breaks loose, crashing down the waterfall. The Jedi move on. Jar Jar reluctantly follows and looks back at the mess. Jar Jar whoa. I am curious. Can you guess what I did as the major change in the Phantom Menace? Other than Anakin and Tatooine arc, of course. Also yeah, the extra scenes and lines of dialogue are from the cut version of the Phantom Menace or is in the original script. Parts 1 added in should be easily recognizable and distinguished. Fun fact, did you know that George Lucas' favorite episode in the Clone Wars is Season 5, Episode 11, A Sun in the Void? I'm actually watching it right now since it does have some really strange things in it. No wonder George Lucas likes it. The bird-like creatures that live on Planet Void is strange and peculiar. Chapter 75. I need help with this. Chapter 76. Chapter 56. And away we go. Int. Theed. Palace Throne Room. Day. Anakin Hawke Skywalker was in the lead of a fairly sized group of people. Queen Amidala, and 5 of her handmaidens, Ane, Padme, Rabe, Satch, Sio Bibble, Captain Panika and 4 Naboo guards all follow behind him as he leads the way into a secret doorway and tunnel that goes from beneath the impossible-to-move throne and to a secret exit into the plaza. On their way they encountered many droids that discovered the secret entrance with ground scanners they placed to monitor organic movement and hollow areas. But Anakin made short work of them as whenever he raised his hand, the droids would seemingly twitch and collapse like puppets whose strings had been cut. He had used a force technique called Mecha Daru. Mecha Daru is primarily a dark side ability as it is associated with anti-life. But light side users can use Mecha Daru, only it would not be as effective since light side abilities focus on using the force for abilities related to life, while dark side abilities is related to death. That is why many light side abilities is healing and defense, while the dark side is for death and offense and is the easiest way to achieve immortality, such as how the abomination Darth Noctis and her deceased master had achieved it. Anakin used Mecha Daru to take control of 10 battle droids and had them surround the group, pretending they had been caught and the higher-ups were informed about this. But by the time they reach the hangars and escape, it will be too late for Gunray to learn of this from the surveillance footage. XT, Palace, Plaza, Day Queen Amidala, Anakin, Padme, AIRTA, YANE, Rabe, Satch, Captain Panika, Sio Bibble, and 4 guards are led out of the palace by the 10 Mecha Daru-controlled battle droids. The plaza is filled with tanks and battle droids, which they pass on their way to the detention camp. Unbeknownst to them, Quigon, Obi-Wan, and Jar Jar sneak across on a walkway above the plaza and jump from a balcony to begin an attack to rescue the Queen from the battle droids, unknown to them that the Queen was in no such danger thanks to Anakin. 4 battle droids are instantly cut down. More droids move forward and are also cut down by the Jedi's flashing lightsabers until there is only the droid sergeant left. The sergeant starts to run, at the mental command of Anakin as to put on an act, but is pulled back to Quigon by the Force, until finally he is dispatched by the Jedi. Jar Jar. Usagai's Bombad. Queen Amidala and the others are amazed at having seen the sudden and unexpected arrival of the 2 Jedi ambassadors, but Anakin looked like he had expected them. Jar Jar is getting used to this. They move between 2 buildings. Quigon, Your Highness, we are the ambassadors, for the Supreme Chancellor. Bibble, your negotiations seem to have failed, Ambassador. Quigon, the negotiations never took place. Your Highness, we must make contact with the Republic. Captain Panika steps forward. Capt. Panika, they've knocked out all our communications. Quigon, do you have transports? Capt. Panika, in the main hangar. This way. Anakin had hidden his lightsaber for a while now, so Quigon had failed to notice it, but he could definitely feel some strange about him but paid it no mind for now. They disappear down an alleyway as the alarms are sounded. Int. Central hangar. Hallway. Day. Captain Panika cracks open a side door to the central hangar. Quigon looks in over his shoulder. Obi-Wan, Jar Jar, and the rest of the group are behind him. They see several Naboo spacecraft guarded by about 50 battle droids. Alarms can be heard in the distance. Capt. Panica. There are too many of them. Quigon. That won't be a problem. Your Highness, under the circumstances, I suggest you come to Coruscant with us. Amidala. Thank you, Ambassador, we have already intended to go there. Quigon. That is very wise, Your Highness. Bibble. You need to make haste, Your Highness. Plead to the Senate and they may help us, it's our only hope. Senator Palpatine will need your help. A/N Sheev Palpatine / Darth Sidious is from Naboo as well. Capt. Panica. Getting past their blockade is impossible, Your Highness. Any attempt to escape will be dangerous. Bibble. Your Highness, I will stay here and do what I can. They will have to retain the Council of Governors in order to maintain control. But you must leave. The Queen turns to Padme and Dirtae. Quigon. We must leave now, hurry. Amidala. To Bibble. Be careful, Governor. Int. Central Hangar. Day. The door opens to the main hangar. Quigon, Obi-Wan, Jar Jar, Anakin, Captain Panica, 2 guards, and 3 handmaidens, Padme, Rabe, followed by Queen Amidala, head for a sleek chrome spacecraft. Sio Bibble, Yane and Satch stay behind. The handmaidens begin to cry. Capt. Panica. We need to free those pilots. Captain Panica points to 20 guards, ground crew, and pilots held in a corner by 6 battle droids. Obi-Wan. I'll take care of that. Obi-Wan heads toward the group of captured pilots. Quigon and the Queen, Anakin, Captain Panica, Jar Jar, and the rest of the group approach the guards at the ramp of the Naboo craft. God Droid. Where are you going? Quigon. I'm ambassador for the Supreme Chank. He was cut short as Anakin used the Force to crush all the droids nearby, then flummed their bodies into the others with telekinesis at rapid speeds, destroying the rest with ease. Quigon and Obi-Wan stared at Anakin with shocked expressions. They would have been even more shocked had Anakin shown his lightsaber, but he didn't have to hide anything that can be traced back to his dad and his master Jinx. Anakin. What? It wouldn't have worked anyway, let's get going. Obi-Wan, the freed pilots, including Rick Oli, guards and ground crew members rush on board the ship. The other pilots and guards race to Sio Bibble. After everyone has made it onto the ship, Quigon along with Anakin jumps on board. Alarms sound. More droids rush into the hangar and fire as the ship takes off. The ship exits the hangar. Battle droids standing in the hangar shoot at them. The sleek spacecraft speeds away from the planet of Naboo and heads for the deadly Federation blockade. Int. Naboo spacecraft. Cockpit. The pilot, Rick Oli, navigates toward the massive battleship. Quigon and Captain Panica watch. Rick Oli. Our communications are still jammed. Int. Naboo spacecraft. Droid hold. Jar Jar is led into a low, cramped doorway by Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, now stay here and keep out of trouble. Obi-Wan closes the door. Jar Jar looks around and sees a long row of 5 short, dome-topped astro droids, R2 units. They all look alike, except for their paint color, and they all seem to be shut down. Jar Jar. Hello, boyos. No response. Dissa want a longo trip. Hey? Jar Jar taps a bright red R2 unit on the head, and its head pops up a bit. He lets out a gasp as he lifts the head. Jar Jar, conted, tis opens. Oops. Many springs and things come flying out. Jar Jar quickly closes it again, very embarrassed. Jar Jar. Conted, you are. Just yokin. The ship was badly damaged by the Federation blockades attacks. The droids that Jar Jar was messing with recently went to fix the ship. One by one they perished, but as all hope seemed to be lost, R2-D2 was able to repair the ship's shielding and power. Rick Oli. Power's back. That little droid did it. He bypassed the main power drive. Deflector shield up, at maximum. The lone blue droid finishes his repairs and goes back into the ship. The Naboo spacecraft races away from the Federation battleship. Rick Oli. There's not enough power to get us to Coruscant. The hyperdrive is leaking. Quigon. We'll have to land somewhere to refuel and repair the ship. Quigon studies a star chart on a monitor. Obi-Wan. Here. Master. Tatooine. It's small, out of the way, poor. The Trade Federation has no presence there. Capt. Panica. How can you be sure? Quigon. It's controlled by the Cerberus Alliance. S/N Cerberus Alliance is the cohabitation of numerous worlds AMD races that chose to defect from the Republic and join Cerberus. I mentioned the many worlds and races that joined Cerberus in the chapter where Adrian declares war and challenges Republic to face him on CCs. Capt. Panica. Cerberus. Obi-Wan. It's risky. but there's no alternative. Capt. Panica. You can't take Her Royal Highness there. Cerberus has been trying to conquer multiple systems in the galactic south. If they discover her there, they would don the same thing the Federation is trying to do. Legitimize their claim on Naboo by forcing her to sign a treaty. It's too donge dash. QUIGON, it would be no different than if we landed on a system controlled by the Federation. Except Cerberus forces aren't looking for her, which gives us an advantage. Captain Panica takes a deep breath in frustration. The Naboo spacecraft races away, but immediately after, a second ship that was cloaked had revealed itself as it followed after them. This ship was, of course, the Icarus. Adrien and Ava who were on board naturally wouldn't leave the lives of the people on board, including Anakin, to fate and destiny. The so-called plot armor of the Chosen One may not exist. That was why Ava was secretly using force stasis to ensure the blaster fire of THD Federation blockade wouldn't hit a critical spot of the ship the others were on. Jack Stone was also on board the ship, but he was invisible and stayed by Anakin's side ensuring his safety as promised. As the Icarus entered hyperspace and followed after them, they were unaware of a certain winged being that was flying through space behind them all. Ulthan. Larekshal. So it begins, as planned. Int. Federation battleship. Conference room. Newt and Rune sit around a conference table with a hologram of Darth Sidious. Newt. We control all the cities in the north and are searching for any other settlements. Darth Sidious. Destroy all high-ranking officials. Viceroy. Slowly. Quietly. And Queen Amidala, has she signed the treaty? Newt. She has disappeared, my lord. One Naboo cruiser got past the blockade. Darth Sidious. Viceroy, find her. I want that treaty signed. Newt. My lord, it's impossible to locate the ship. It's out of our range. Darth Sidious. Not for a Sith. A second Sith Lord appears behind Darth Sidious. A red-black-skinned and tattooed Zobrek cloaked in dark black robes. Darth Maul. Darth Sidious. Conted. Viceroy, this is my apprentice. Lord Maul. He will find your lost ship. Newt. Yes, my lord. The hologram fades off. Newt. Conted, this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. Rune. We should not have made this bargain. What will happen when the Jedi become aware of these Sith Lords? Int. Naboo spacecraft. Queen's chambers. QUIGON, OBI-1, Captain Panica, and the little blue droid stand before Queen Amidala, Anakin and her three handmaidens, Padme, Erti and Rabe. Capt. Panica. An extremely well put-together little droid. Without a doubt, it saved the ship, as well as our lives. Amidala. It is to be commended. What is its number? The little blue droid lets out a series of bleeps. Captain Panica leans over and scrapes some dirt off of the side of the Duro ID and read the number. Capt. Panica. R2-D2, Your Highness. Amidala. Thank you, R2-D2. You have proven to be very loyal. Padme. Padme bows before the Queen. Amidala. Conted. Clean this droid up the best you can. It deserves our gratitude. Continue. Captain. Captain Panica looks nervously to OBI-1 and QUIGON. QUIGON. Your Highness, we are heading for a remote planet called Tatooine. It is a system far beyond the reach of the Trade Federation. There we will be able to make needed repairs, then travel on to Coruscant. Captain Panica. Your Highness, Tatooine is very dangerous. It's controlled by the Cerberus Alliance. I do not agree with the Jedi on this. QUIGON. You must trust my judgment, Your Highness. Anakin. If I may, Your Highness. She nods. I know Tatooine, I grew up there. There is a shop there that can provide replacement parts for everything needed to repair the ship. Amidala. Is it safe? Anakin. I assure you, it is. With all of us here, we can easily dwell with any trouble, and even then the chances are nil with the Jedi with us. Only one of them need to go to get the parts and everything will be over in a day. Amidala and Padme exchange looks. Padme moves next to the DROID. Int. Naboo spacecraft. Main area. Padme sits in the main area, cleaning R2-D2, the brave little astrodroid. Jar Jar pops out of an open door. Jar Jar. Hido. Both Padme and Ertio jump and let out a little scream. The Gungan is embarrassed that he frightened them. Jar Jar. Conted. Sorry, no meanin' to scare you, sir. Padme. That's all right. Jar Jar. I scovered oily back there. Nay dennet. Padme. Thank you. This little guy is quite a mess. Jar Jar hands Padme the oil can. Jar Jar. Mesa Jar Jar Binks. Padme. I'm Padme, I attend Her Highness. You're a Gungan, aren't you? Jar Jar nods. How did you end up here with us? Jar Jar. Me no know. Mesa day star 10 pity okide wit de brisky morning munchen. Den boom. Get 10 berry scared, ungrab dat Jedi, and before Mesa knowin' it, pow. Mesa here. He shrugs. Get 10 berry scared. R2 beeps a sympathetic beep. Int. Anbu spacecraft. Cockpit. OBI-1, QUIGON, and Captain Panica watch over RIC Oli's shoulder. A large yellow planet appears directly ahead. Rick Oli searches his scopes. OBI-1, that's it. Tatooine. Rick Oli. There's a settlement, a spaceport, looks like. QUIGON. Land near the outskirts. We don't want to attract any attention. The ship heads toward the planet of Tatooine. The Naboo spacecraft lands in the desert in a swirl of dust. The spaceport of Mos Espa is seen in the distance. XT. Naboo spacecraft, main area. OBI-1 is hoisting the hyperdrive out of a floor panel. Jar Jar rushes up to him and falls to his knees. Jar Jar. Obi-Wan, sire, please, no Mesa go. OBI-1. Sorry, Qui-Gon's right. You'll make things less obvious. Jar Jar walks back to ARTOO in the hallway as QUIGON, dressed as a farmer, enters the main area. OBI-1. Canted, the hyperdrive generator is gone. We will need a new one. QUIGON moves closer to OBI-1 and speaks quietly to him. QUIGON. Don't let them send ant transmissions. Be wary. I sense a disturbance in the Force. OBI-1. I felt it also, Master. QUIGON. There is another thing. OBI-1. The boy. QUIGON. You feel it too. His connection to the Force is great. Greater than anything I have ever felt before. But, this reminds me of the Wills. Anakin's power is comparable to them, the difference is obvious, but the connection with Force cannot be mistaken. As QUIGON thought this, he made multiple mental notes to not forget the things he need to do. One of which is to return to the Wellspring of Life, planet of the Wills that Wyodo went to, and complete his training to maintain his physical form after death. After talking with OBI-1 some more, QUIGON goes into the hallway to meet up with RTOO and Jar Jar. They head to the exit ramp. EXT. Tatooine. Desert. Spaceship. Day. They start their trek across the desert toward the city of Mos Espa. In the distance, a strange-looking caravan makes its way toward the spaceport. Jar Jar. Dis son done murder Toda skin. QUIGON. It won't be long, we'll be back before you dry to a crisp under the twin suns. Jar Jar. 2 sons. Oh no. Mesa gonna die. Chapter 77, Recent Web Novel Problem Chapter 78. Web Novel is fixed Chapter 79, Chapter 57, To Be My. EXT. Mos Espa. Junk Dealer Plaza, Day. QUIGON. Come Jar Jar, this is the place Anakin said would have our parts. Meanwhile, said Gun-Gon had gotten Hymef in trouble by trying to eat some strange-looking alienoid food from a stall without paying. QUIGON sighs as he had to get Jar Jar out of trouble again. Int. Watto's Junk Shop, Day. QUIGON, Jar Jar and RTOO enter the dingy junk shop and are greeted by Watto, a pudgy blue alien who flies on short little wings like a hummingbird. Watto, subtitled, Hi Chuba Denaga, what do you want? QUIGON. I need parts for a J-Type 327 Nubian. Watto. Ah yes. Nubian. One moment please. Watto flew away and spoke in the background. A few moments later a middle-aged woman came out of the shop and Watto followed behind Gur respectfully. It can be seen from a glance that Watto is a slave/servant of the woman who is the real owner of the store that had once belonged to Watto. SHMI. Hello. What can I help you with? QUIGON. My droid here has a readout of what I need. SHMI. Alright, I will have a look. Come with me to the back warehouse. The parts you're looking for should be there. You can search for whatever else you need. RTOO and QUIGON follow SHMI toward the junkyard, leaving Jar Jar alone with Watto and a stealth-cloaked Terra Trooper that was hiding above, in the store. EXT. Watto's junkyard. Behind shop, Day. SHMI reads a small portable monitor he is holding. He stands before a hyperdrive. SHMI. Here it is, AT-14 hyperdrive generator. You're in luck, I'm the only one hereabouts who has one. Parts for a Nubian is very rare in these parts. QUIGON. How come you have it? SHMI. I own multiple businesses and companies. This is the place that I feel most safe at thanks to a certain good man. Now my life is better than it has ever been, though I do hope to see my son soon. It's been a month since I was visited by him. Sorry for my ramblings. Now then, shall we get down to business? It would cost roughly 56,000 talons. S/N talons is the new currency implemented by Cerberus after replacing the Hutts and their previous currency of Pegats. 40 credits equals 1 Pegat. 1 talon equals 4 credits. This was how the Hutts scammed so many people with their Pegat currency. But Cerberus changed it to talons so the poor people won't stay poor and can exchange it into credits anywhere in Cerberus Alliance-controlled space. This means QUIGON has 100,000 talons at least to spend. QUIGON. I have 20,000 Republic dataries. Fichimai. I'm afraid that won't do. You will have to exchange them at the Cerberus Bank for talons. QIGON frowned when he heard this. It was natural and is something he would do if he could, but he didn't have a choice. He can't risk going to a Cerberus bank where his identity could be found by their personnel. Fighting against that enhanced terror army was a hard-fought battle that had us all thinking Obi-Wan had died. I don't know how he came back, as I was there when his body was cremated. But I choose to take this as a second chance the Force has given him by recreating his living Force vessel/body. There was 100% chance that we were still enemies of Cerberus since that day. QIGON. I don't have anything else. Raising his hand. But credits will do fine. He used a Jedi mind trick in SHMI, so that she can take the credits and exchange it at the Cerberus bank herself rather than the risk of drawing the unwanted attention of Cerberus personnel. SHMI. Sorry, but they won't. QIGON, using his mind power, waves his hand again. QUIGON. Credits will do fine. Shmai frowned when she saw what he was trying to do. Adrian had told her about the Force, since naturally, she wanted to learn about the abilities her son Anakin possessed. Adrian had told her that she would be fine from a Jedi mind trick since her willpower and mental fortitude had been strengthened by the pain and hardships she had to endure since her childhood when she first became a slave. There are not many non-Force users in the galaxy that has the mental willpower to resist a Jedi mind trick, and she was one of the few. /NSHMI was stated to have unconsciously used a little bit of the Force, like Force Wall passive everyone has, to stay alive when she was being tortured, RAPED and brutally beaten by the Tusken Raiders.
Why?
'Cause she forced herself to stay alive just so that she can see Anakin before she died, and when she did, she gave up her will to live and passed away in his arms. If that isn't having a strong will, then I don't know what is. She didn't feel confident in herself, and so she asked for any way to help protect herself from mind tricks. Thus she wore a special amulet made of blue stones, which he also enchanted with magic and runic engravings of some kind. He said that the blue stones was harvested from a certain living Force mountain. Something like a living mountain would have been dismissed by her as make-believe, but Adrian had yet to lie to her. Why would he even lie to her in the first place at all? Needless to say, she was displeased with what QIGON was trying to do, and so she kicked him out until he had the talons to pay her properly. She already has a newly made /superior version of the so-called Terror Troopers, hiding throughout her store. She didn't like their appearances, but Adrian said it was manly used as an intimidation display like a certain lightsaber-collecting general would spin his weapons to dissuade all offensive and defensive tactics employed by his enemies. She has had to deal with many customers trying to swindle, threaten, or rob her, but the Terror Troopers did their job and protected her. Although she did have a personal bodyguard called Excalibur Umbra. She didn't know what it was, but it was very powerful and can easily beat a crate dragon on its own, or so Adrian had said that. She watched as QUIGON, RTOO and Jar Jar left the store. Int. Naboo spacecraft. Queen's chambers. As QUIGON was making his way back to the ship so that someone on board can go to exchange the credits for talons at a Cerberus bank instead of himself, or trusting Jar Jar. Amidala, Urti, Rabe, and Obi-Wan watch a very bad transmission of a Sio Bibble hologram. Bibble, cut off all food supplies until you return. The death toll is catastrophic. We must bow to their wishes, Your Highness. Please tell us what to do. If you can hear us, Your Highness, you must contact me. Amidala looks upset. Almost nervous. Obi-Wan, it's a trick. Send no reply. Send no transmission of any kind. QIGON listens to his comlink as he was making his way back to the ship. Obi-Wan is in the cockpit as he syntacted his master. Obi-Wan, the Queen is upset, but absolutely no reply was sent. QUIGON, it sounds like bait to establish a connection trace. Obi-Wan, what if it is true and the people are dying? QUIGON, either way, we're running out of time. Obi-Wan, about the bank, I'll convince the captain and a guard to go in your place. Then you can go back to buy the hyperdrive. QUIGON, I sense some unease from you? Obi-Wan, sigh, I still remember that time back on Mandalore when we confronted Hawke. Just the mention of Cerberus reminds me of that day Aldous died. I still have no idea how I even survived. I am just glad I'm alive. QUIGON, I am too, and the Duchess certainly wasn't happy when she learned about your miraculous return. Obi-Wan, groans, please don't remind me, Master. She tried locking me in prison to keep me safe and from leaving Mandalore when I said I had to return. And the next thing I know, we get married within 2 days. QUIGON and Obi-Wan smiled as they conversed to ease the tension this whole assignment has caused. EXT. Coruscant. Balcony overlooking city, night. Darth Sidious and Darth Maul look out over the vast city. Darth Maul. Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly, Master. Darth Sidious, move against the Jedi first. You will then have no difficulty taking the Queen back to Naboo, where she will sign the treaty. Darth Maul, at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge. Darth Sidious, you have been well trained, my young apprentice, they will be no match for you. But I sense something else at play in all this. Darth Maul, I sensed it as well, Master. Darth Sidious, go to Tatooine as planned. I will get in contact with someone that can be your ally for this mission. Sidious could sense his apprentice's feelings and frowned. Darth Sidious, do not become arrogant in your abilities. This unknown variable can be dangerous. This ally goes by the name Fulcrum. She is a highly skilled bounty hunter trained personally by Zer-Zero, or so my sources say. Darth Maul recognized the name Zer-Zero. How could we not? Zer-Zero had been revealed to be Adrian Hawke, the elusive man, the CEO of the Cerberus Corporation and the Cerberus Alliance. Darth Maul, it will be as you desire, Master. Darth Sidious, good. It is too late for them to stop us now. Everything is going as planned. The Republic will soon be in my command. The hologram of Darth Maul fades off as Darth Sidious looks out over the city. Darth Sidious is left alone as he ponders how best to assassinate his master Darth Plagueis. He could truck him by giving lots of alcohol once he is made Chancellor, then he could kill him in his sleep. He has already learned all he could from his master, and now it was his time to rise. The age of Darth Sidious will begin. Unknown to him, a certain reincarnated couple were laughing at his so-called plans of galactic domination, as they watched him as if it was just another scene from a movie. EXT. Tatooine. Desert Mesa, night. The sinister-looking Sith spacecraft lands on top of a desert mesa at dusk, scattering a herd of banthas. Darth Maul walks to the edge of the mesa and studies the landscape with a pair of electro-binoculars. He picks out the lights of 3 different cities in the distance, then pushes buttons on his electronic armband. 6 football-sized probe droids float out of the ship and head off in 3 different directions toward the cities. Darth Maul stands on the mesa and watches them through his electro-binoculars. Fulcrum, we should find them soon. The ship's power would need to be on, so your droid should have little issue with tracing the electromagnetic signatures of the ship within the sandstorm. Darth Maul didn't answer but nodded at the bounty hunter's words. He himself had worked with bounty hunters in the past, Cad Bane and Aurra Singh. They were skilled allies and ones that didn't betray him. He respected them, and the same can be said for Fulcrum. The two of them continued their search for the Queen within the sandstorm, only talking to one another when necessary. EXT. Mos Espa, Street, Day. One of Darth Maul's probe droids slowly floats down the main street of Tatooine. It looks in shops and studies people as it searches for OBIWAN, QIGON, or the Queen. EXT. Tatooine. Desert. Naboo spacecraft, Day. Arto cruises ahead of QUIGON and Captain Panika, who are riding one of the Eops. Jar Jar rids the other along with a Naboo guard disguised in average clothing. They have been able to exchange the credits for talons and acquire the T-14 hyperdrive when they return to the shop. They stop in front of the sleek Naboo spacecraft. Obi-Wan comes out of the ship and joins them. QUIGON. Start getting this hyperdrive generator installed. On a hill far overlooking the Naboo spacecraft, the Sith probe droid turns and speeds away. EXT. Tatooine. Desert Mesa, Day. The probe droid beeps and whistles to Darth Maul. The Sith Lord gets on a speeder bike, along with Fulcrum who get onto her own speeder, and follows the probe droid into Mos Espa. Fulcrum. This will be fun. Flashback. Soon after Sidious and Maul spoke with one another. Varying POV/General POV. Adrian had decided to contact a very particular person he knows. When he did, a teenage Togruta girl had picked his transmission. Ahsoka. Hi Dad. Adrian. Hello Ahsoka. Ahsoka. Why did you contact me? I thought you were busy. Also, when will you come back to meet with everyone from your vacation? You have been gone so long. Adrian. Haha, sorry about that. Don't worry, I will be back soon. But there is something important I want to talk to you about. Ahsoka. Okay. Adrian. Listen carefully, a certain Sith Lord will be contacting you very soon. Make sure to wear your Mandalorian armor and never remove your helmet. Also, use your alias Fulcrum. Ahsoka. Will do Dad. Adrian. Don't get too excited by this. I know you are very ecstatic to be able to go on missions and alignments by yourself, but don't forget your training and keep a leveled head or there will be punishments. I can see that Ahsoka visibly shook and quivered when I said, punishment. I treat her as I would like any Indian child back on Earth. She is physically the age of a young girl of 5 years old, but with the serums I gave her. She is now mentally a teenager like how she was when the Clone Wars began. She was 14 in the first episode of Season 1. She also now has the body and appearance of her 14-year-old body. Back on Earth, since I'm also an Indian, I still follow my origins and its traditions even in this new life. In India, one would physically beat the child in varying ways, though it depends on who the parent is, in order to discipline the said child. Very brutal indeed, but it isn't as bad or severe as it sounds. It's more like a slap on the head, face, or hitting the bum with a stick. Though if the parent is more violent and strict, it can be brutal, but the former methods is what I did. Mainly, I would send low jolts of electricity through hers or Anakin's body, including slashing them with water or hitting them on the bum with a stick. Non-serious things like that. They actually end up laughing about it immediately afterwards when they are alone at how they misbehaved. Before I even began dealing punishment like that, I had discussed it with Jinx and SHMI, as those two were the only people I could talk to this about, as they had actual experience. Sure, I had knowledge given to me by ROB Jr., but I was unsure about it myself. SHMI agreed to punishing Anakin, but only in very certain ways as she instructed. I decided to follow her idea for both of the kids. Jinx was the most knowledge since she's 5 millennium years old, so naturally she had had many husbands and children of the years and knew how to raise them. AVA. You adopted Anakin and Ahsoka? Isn't your punishments for less than yen-year-old children a bit much? Adrian. It isn't. If they can't handle that much, then I won't ever let them leave nor fight anyone. That is nothing compared to what people back on Earth had to endure. What I am giving them are stings, but in our past life, people were stabbed and shot. In fact, my punishments are more playful if anything. AVA. At least it isn't like what your family on Earth did to you. Adrian. It wasn't that severe. It was just their overreaction to things that caused misunderstandings to occur practically all the time. I got used to it. AVA. Stop with all this talk of our past life. I don't like remembering sad times like that. Adrian. It wasn't all sad. Like this. I stood up from the bed we were on and kneeled on the ground. AVA watched me curiously as she sat on the edge of the bed gazing into my eyes. Adrian. I remembered something the ROB Jr. told me when I was being granted my wish. I still think it is a bit fast, though while I don't mind either, I want to set straight one of my regrets and mistakes. AVA. And that is? I outstretched my clenched hand to her. Ava took my clenched hand and held it within her own palms. Adrian. Gwendolyn Capillis, now Ava Kendra. I am R. Singh, now Adrian Hawke, ask you. I opened my hand and Ava's went wide as she saw something she always dreamed of having. Something that made her cry as she realized how precious it was to me and I was giving it to her. Adrian. To be my girlfriend. Within my palm was a bracelet made of colored threads. A/N image. When I was in school, I had to go to therapy sessions to help cope with the recent death of my mother in my past life. During one of these therapy sessions, I was asked what colors my mother liked. I myself didn't know as I was too young and didn't bother asking. All I knew was that she supported Chelsea and liked blue, but she passed away from cancer, and so I had also sawed maybe pink, as pink was the color to support cancer. Then there was white-colored flowers at her cremation/funeral. In the end I sighed I didn't know what flower she liked. In the next therapy session, the teacher had brought all kinds of flowered thread and said that we would make a bracelet in her memory out if all the flowers she had with her Luke I had said. I had cried tears of joy and sadness as when I held the finished bracelet I felt one step closer with my mother again. I had kept it with me ever since, but when I died, it most likely had been destroyed along with my body in the terrorist attack back on Earth. In this life, I recreated it personally exactly as it was. And now I was giving it to AVA, to Gwen. I wanted to show how serious I was, and maybe by some small chance, my mother would know of this as well and bless her from the afterlife. To know I love her and will marry her, that is certain. AVA grabbed the bracelet with shaky hands, and fell into my arms and cried. We didn't care about anything else as we embraced each other. The ROB Jr., Ulthan, revealed that Gwen was going to ask Adrian to be his boyfriend 1 week after the evening of Chapter 1 interaction. But he died in a terrorist bombing before that could happen. Now he asked her that very same thing. P.S. What are you thinking of my alterations to canon so far, and what do you think of Episode 1? I am copying it, since most of its events will remain the same. Episode 2, Battle of Geonosis and the Clone Wars will naturally be different. The whole purpose of the Clone Wars, or to be more accurate, its main objective, was to show Palpatine's manipulations on the Senate and the Jedi so that he can solidify his power for the Empire and how he was exposing the Jedi for what they really are to Anakin, causing him to lose his faith in the Jedi and trust Palpatine more and more. This was mostly shown during the kidnapping of Palpatine and the box arc. The wild purpose of those episodes were for Palpatine to reveal that the Jedi don't trust Anakin, to reveal Obi-Wan was alive and in disguise, which worked to Palpatine's plans. He even says, if you feel you can stop this plot against me, I trust you. He legit says it directly in such an obvious way. Palpatine even corrupts Barriss to frame Ahsoka for the bombing, which led to her leaving the Jedi Order and causing Anakin to lose his faith and trust in the Jedi even more. PSS. Did you know that Yoda can actually speak properly? He speaks weird cause it is cryptic and helps to leave a lasting impression on the minds of other people and to get his point across to others easier. That is why younglings learn from Yoda far easier than any other Jedi. This was confirmed by Filoni or Lucas, I forgot which one actually said it. Chapter 80. Must vote in 24 hours at least. This next part you need to vote in 24 hours if this chapter, or before I release the next chapter. Basically, you know how the world between worlds allows for one to enter alternate realities, timelines and universes as I've already described before. Many times in fact. Well, this vote poll will decide which worlds are connected. Some worlds I already decided are naturally the worlds which Ulthan had gone to in order to facilitate Adrian's creation ability wish, as I also explained and revealed before. These are the confirmed worlds: Warframe, Witcher 3, DC, Marvel, Darksiders, Tensura, that time I got reincarnated as a slime, Devil May Cry, Ben 10, Strike the Blood, Final Fantasy 15 RWBY, God of War, Dungeons & Dragons, Diablo 3. Don't worry about all these worlds and the long list as it has already been planned out in a perfectly explainable and doable way. It won't be traveling to each world, I just said they are connected to the world between worlds. The list below is of all my multiverse worlds lists I use for other stories and such. But feel free to include any I missed that you not included and I will heavily consider each and every option. Even if it is only one vote for an option. The below is copy and paste from my note listing so there will be repeated worlds. Each person only gets 5 votes each, so please don't spam every single world option with a +1. Worlds: Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Code Vein, Nioh, Nioh 2, Lords of the Fallen, Elder Scrolls Arena, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Online, Darksiders 1, Darksiders 2, Darksiders 3, Darksiders Genesis, Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age 4, World of Warcraft, Dota, Dragon's Blood, Death March to a Parallel World, Transported to Another World with My Smartphone, Overlord, Anime/Novels, Bleach, Skeleton Knight in Another World, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, Reincarnated as a Dragon's Egg, Let's Become the World's Strongest. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 3, Liberation, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4, Freedom Cry, Assassin's Creed Embers, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, Assassin's Creed Japan, Assassin's Creed Russia, Assassin's Creed India, Assassin's Creed China, Sword Art Online, For Honor, Game of Thrones, The Outpost, Resident Evil, Movies, Star Wars 1, Phantom Menace, Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones, Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars 4, A New Hope, Star Wars 5, The Empire Styles Back, Star Wars 6, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars 7, The Force Awakens, Star Wars 8, The Last Jedi, Star Wars 9, Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Mandalorian, Marvel, MCU, DC, Young Justice, Teen Titans, Justice League, Steppenwolf, Birth of the Demonic Sword, Jobless Reincarnation, Darling in the Franxx, High School DxD, Blue Exorcist, Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 2, Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 4, Devil May Cry 5, Devil May Cry the Anime, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, Prince of Persia, Two Thrones, Prince of Persia, Forgotten Sands, Prince of Persia, 2008, Custom Made Demon King, Ratchet and Clank, Dragon's Dogma, Harry Potter, X-Men, Chapter 61, Chapter 47, Gwen's Guilt. Gasp. Ava gasped awake, breathing in and out heavily as she tried to regain her senses. She looked around her and noticed that she was in her room at the Jedi Temple. She spent some time trying to regain her senses. Once she did, she had broken down with tears rolling down as she cried and sobbed her eyes and heart out at what she had done. She remembered everything, and that she had killed Amar. Never did she think that they would re-encounter each other under such circumstances, that they would fight each other numerous times. She continued to wallow in her despair for the following days. Various doctors and people had come by to give her food and check up on her once she had awoken from her 2-month coma. Back when CC's had been destroyed by Ava's accidental force scream, only her and another thing was all that had remained from the battle. Admiral Trench had made a retreat with the Cerberus fleet and left the solar system as soon as they detected that the planet was about to explode. The Republic fleet had been able to recover from the Dreadnought's ion cannon and were able to get far enough away from the planet's explosion. Once CC's was reduced to space dust, a Rublic transport/scout ship was set to find out if anything had remained. And there was. The Republic had taken Ava to seek medical attention and had seized control of Subject Zer-0, as the name was written on it. They placed Subject Zer-0 under heavy security within a heavily secured vault of the Temple Spire at the Hall of Knighthood. A/N Temple Spire is Central Tower. At top level is Jedi High Council Chamber for Yoda, Windu and so on. Hall of Knighthood is one level below Jedi High Council Chamber. Hall of Knighthood is where a Padawan becomes a Jedi Knight. Trough tradition of cutting of the Padawan braid by the Grand Master of the Order, Yoda. Ava was in perfect health, but was in a coma for an unknown time, thus she had been sent back to her room and would be monitored there. Thus, the present day came when she was now awake but an aura of sadness loomed around her. Ava remained in perfect harmony with the light and dark side, and so Yoda and Windu had accepted her current state, but that did not mean that they didn't try to help her to try and return to the once cheerful girl she had always been. All the Jedi Masters of the High Council had tried given advice to her to cope with her loss, as they had become aware that she had fallen in love with Adrian Hawke at some point. Ki-Adi-Mundi had given the most heartless piece of advice, simply saying that he had lost his entire village and family but he did not mourn them nor feel any emotion at their parting, and neither should she. Plo Koon and Yoda had given the best responses out of all the council members, and had seen traces of emotion return to Ava which showed that it had helped her somewhat. What they didn't know was that what they had said were similar words to what Adrian had said in their past life on Earth. A week had gone by since Ava had awoken. By this point she had fully come to terms with what she had done, but not only that, but that she can potentially undo it. She can save Adrian and prevent her past self from killing him. She went over all her returned memories by this point and had remembered the one thing that she can use to save him. The world between worlds. She didn't know where Lothal was, so she would need to go to the Jedi archives to get the coordinates to head to the world of Lothal where she remembered the world between worlds was located. This was all she could do and would repeat it in her mind over and over again in an attempt to stay focused and try to alleviate her guilt and despair. She was determined to save him from death. First-person POV. I was sitting at a table and was searching the records of countless coordinates for every world listed by the Republic and the Jedi. I already had the coordinates for Lothal as I just had to type its name and there we go, I already had it. I was currently looking for possible coordinates for other worlds that can be linked to Lothal, Ilum, Mortis and Octu. All these worlds were connected to each other in some way. I remember Adrian was a huge nerd that was obsessed with trying to learn the secret history of the ones in Star Wars. He showed me pictures of certain places of these worlds, and they all had the same markings and images on the ground, exactly like the one seen on Mortis during the Mortis arc in the TV show. He told me that the ones, or more specifically, the celestial race had dominated the galaxy millions of years ago and enslaved its inhabitants to create grand structures and architecture. One of these was the world between worlds created by the ones. There were many others, but only the world between worlds was actually revealed. The Celestials also was responsible with the current formation of the galaxy, stars, and planets. They had used their power and the enslaved races to create practically every solar system's arrangement in the Star Wars galaxy. The Kilix and Rakata was the most notable races to be enslaved by the Celestials. The Kilix was enslaved and created by the Celestials 1 million years ago. The son, daughter, and father were the most notable slave masters of the Kilix, which confirms their age to at least be 1 million years old. The Rakata eventually was able to acquire knowledge from the Kilix, after deceiving them, about the dark side of the Force and were able to combine dark side energies with their own technology. With this technology they were able to overthrow their celestial masters and thus began the Rakata Infinite Empire. What happened to the Celestials were unknown as many theories exist, and the Rakata overthrowing the Celestials is not a guaranteed event, but a heavily theorized one since this was in legends known as the Celestial Rakata War. The Celestials vanished, shortly after as a result of their in 30,000 BBY. A/N Kilix species is 100,000 BBY to 1 million BBY. I am not sure which as it shifts from canon to legends back and forth. In 100,000 BBY, the ones were responsible for creating the hyperspace anomaly in the unknown regions due to their fear of what lurks within. Not long after that did they meet a human woman called Abeloth. But Abeloth would eventually become known as the bringer of chaos, the beloved queen of the stars. For some reason I feel strange when I think about her. My memories are still mixed with my life as Gwen, and my current one as Ava. I still don't know what I should call myself. I pushed these thoughts aside to return to what I was currently doing. I wanted to know if there were any other creations of the ones in the galaxy and why the worlds I was looking into were related to one another. If you can't use the world between worlds, then I can always get Lord Momin's helmet and use it to create Vader's castle on Mustafar in order to resurrect Adrian if I had no other option.
Hello? Hello? Missy?
I was woken up from my slumber by a gentle feminine young voice. I must have fallen asleep during my research. I turned to the youngling girl before me and noticed she had some horns on her hair like a crown. She was a Zabrak. Ava? Ah yes. Sorry, I was asleep. Did you need something, youngling? The girl seemed nervous and fidgeted with her hands. Ah, no. It was just because I felt you were sad, Anne. I see. Sigh, I knew this would happen at some point due to my depressing aura around me. The girl was just trying to be nice. Why is she so nervous? Oh, I get it. It's because I'm a Jedi Master and she thought waking me to ask me about my feelings was prying into my personal area. Ava, it's okay. I was just sad because I had lost some dear to me recently and have been having a hard time accepting it. I can never accept it. I lost him in our past life, and now I lost him in this one, and what was worse was I was responsible for it this time around. Miss Master. I don't know if this helps, but Master Kagan said that we shouldn't mourn those that we lose, because we never truly lose them. They will always be with us through the Force. A/N Kagan fell in love with a female Jedi called Tal. She died in his arms, and the two of them had given their vows to one another so that they can be married before she dies. 2 years before Tal's death, they had an illegitimate daughter called Cara Jinn. Kagan had hidden her real name and she is known as Cara Jinn as to hide her parentage from the Jedi Council. Bet you didn't know that, did ya? Ava, yes. I suppose so. It was then that I realized I still hadn't gotten her name, nor given mine. Ava, my name is Ava Kendra. What is yours, youngling? Taya, my name is Taya, Miss Master. I felt a vein expand when I heard that name. Ava, my name isn't Miss Master, it is Ava, or Master Ava. Taya, okay Miss Master. My eye twitched a little as I had a smile plastered on my face. Does this girl seriously call people that? Surely not. She had just Master Kagan a while ago. Sigh. Aragon. Ambition of Oda Nobuna. Master of Ragnarok. To your eternity. Familiar of Zero. Yasuke. Monster Hunter. Borderlands. Gran Blue. Arifrita. Rising of the Shield Hero. Witcher. God of War. Danmachi. The Darkness 1. The Darkness 2. Fathom. Comics. Generator Rex. Ben 10. Strike the Blood. Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Ring. Lord of the Rings. Two Towers. Lord of the Rings. Return of the King. The Hobbit. An Unexpected Adventure. The Hobbit. The Desolation of Smaug. The Hobbit. Battle of the Five Armies. Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War. Absolver. Anthem. Halo. Horizon Zero Dawn. Warframe. Dragonar Academy. Demon Slayer. Chain Chronicle. Attack on Titan. Destiny. Call of Duty. Zombies. One Piece. Naruto. Legend of Kai. Kung Fu Panda 1. Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda 3. After Earth. Guardians of Gaul. Tokyo Ghoul. Vampire plus Rosario. My Hero Academia. Percy Jackson. Saints Row. Fairy Tale. Fate. Pirates of the Caribbean. Alien vs. Predator. StarCraft. Avatar. Avatar. The Last Airbender. Avatar. The Legend of Korra. Medika Box. Journey to the Center of the Earth. Final Fantasy. Infamous 1. Infamous 2. Infamous. Second Son. Independence Day. Independence Day. Resurgence. One Punch Man. Drifters. Dororo. Dishonored 1. Dishonored 2. Dishonored. Death of the Outsider. So I'm a spider, so what? RWBY. Mortal Shell. The Golden Compass. Uncharted. Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Battle Force 5. Bionicle. Claymore. Jurassic Park. Transformers. Valerian and the Planet of 1,000 Worlds. How to Train Your Dragon. Fire Breather. Godzilla vs. Kong Monsterverse. Godzilla the Animated Series. King Kong of Atlantis the Animated Series. Rage of Bahamut. Dungeons and Dragons. Magi's Grandson. Heroes of Might and Magic. Warhammer.
Neon Genesis Evangelen.
Kiba. Sleeping Dogs. Blade of the Immortal. Akame Ga Kill. Frozen 1. Frozen 2. Tangled. Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect Andromeda. War of the Worlds. Anthem. Real Steel. Blood of Zeus. Yasuke. Moonlight Fantasy. Ninja Gaiden. Black Desert Online. Blade and Soul. Scarlet Nexus. Bioshock. Azura's Wrath. Godfall. The Great Wall.